I don't know why I'm not talking. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dragon Riders, episode number 5. It's good to be back. So, because I have apparently lost the ability to remember what I do in the intro, hello, I'm Sheepdog. This is the Wandering Inn. We do Dragon Riders on Fridays, we do Drifting on Mondays, but the final episode is next Monday. So yeah, we have another show coming after that, don't worry. If you want to, yeah, there we go, that's what I'm supposed to say. If you want to support the show, there is a Patreon. All proceeds from the Patreon currently go directly to paying all the cost. So the more people on Patreon, you know, giving a little bit here and there, the more shows I'll be able to do. If you want to see more from me, do that. If you want to see less from me, well, I personally, I just wouldn't watch the shows. That's how you don't see more from me. So, last time on Dragon Riders, I believe, yes, we checked in with everyone returning from their little individual outings as they one by one came upon a crime scene that had been created by Cassandra and a little bit Argent. Essentially, they were hoping, well, Cassandra was hoping to harvest some fat and basically use it to help with the dragon scales, like keep them healthy, keep them shiny. It didn't go as well as she hoped, and everyone helped to essentially clean up what could have very easily been in a horror film. After that, Iliagar and Avenda showed up to take the pod for their first time officially trying out the combined abilities of Dragon and Rider, manifesting the powers designated to each of the different colors of dragon. With Cassandra, she found out that she was able to a certain degree, heighten her senses and heighten small aspects of herself. It isn't as effective as the ability to adjust and enhance the manifestations of other dragons, but it is useful. So, I believe Ulcha and Ardor ate a large toad, and Ardor turned slimy. Before.
But the tongue thing did happen.
The tongue thing did happen in the end. It is true. A second attempt happened.
I'm gonna be quiet again.
Perry and Tourmaline managed to explode a block of ice. It was supposed to be turned from ice to water to gas and back and so forth. Technically, it did turn to water for a second, maybe? It's so fast, it's hard to tell. And Perry realized that his dragon is a little bit magically gifted and strong. Yeah, could be interesting. Finally, Rithera and Incinzia worked upon essentially manifesting the kind of misty breath that Incinzia can produce, and using it to divert, I believe it was Beric, divert Beric from walking towards them, essentially causing him to drift out to the side. When they got cocky about it, he walked back in and just walked straight through, and yeah. Finally, we got to see a fight between Dragon Riders. Two of the masters and two of the masters' dragons. Jozere and Galeriat, who were, I believe those two were the gold dragon, the gold hydra. Sorry, the gold wyvern. and then Beric and Hatari were the pink shaded Longron. They had a bit of a back and forth, showing how scary and intense a dragon fight can be, eventually ending when Galeriat, Josere's dragon, bit down on the sword representation of the pink Longron Hatari and drained their power, utilized the power for themselves, manifested as big golden armor and a nasty little weapon, and bested Beric. And at that point is where things ended, as we are moving forward in time a little while. A year, in fact. Over the course of this year, you have been training. Essentially, you have been utilizing the time before you're sent out officially as Dragon Riders to complete tasks, missions, all of these kind of things. So now, I think what we will do is we will talk a little bit about what training you've been doing, because we have tags to gain. So, we will... I think to begin with, I'll open the floor to anyone who wants to talk about either their dragon or their rider character and what they've been doing, and specifically focusing on in this last year of training. If you want to have been focusing on... I'll give a decent example. Perry has realized that Tourmaline has a lot of power and manifests a lot of power that can be hard to control and contain. If you're wanting to focus predominantly on control and the control of the manifestation, then that will be something you can mention, and we'll figure out a tag for that will be used as we go forward to basically make the success gates a little bit. So this mechanic in the game is essentially designed so that even if your dragon doesn't fit you, if your dragon has a lot of power and you have a small amount of control, you can still mitigate it by ensuring successes for yourself, by lowering the skill gate by training and that kind of thing, gaining tags. So, Rithera, Ardor, Perry, Argent, Cassandra, Incinzia, Ultra, Tourmaline. What have you been training? What have you been doing to improve yourself over this last year?
Well, Cassandra has definitely learned how to butcher now, I feel.
Okay.
At this point. We're getting told about that.
Well, I think that makes sense, but I think that speaks into her intentions originally, which I say would be dragon care.
Yeah.
So if you add the tag dragon care.
Okay, brilliant.
That means when you're doing something, and it could be medicinal and curative, or it could be in the midst of battle. So if there's like a big gash or a wound that needs healing or seeing to, dragon care would pop up then as well. Which also makes sense given Cassandra and Argent's tendencies towards reading, as opposed to a lot of the other members of the group. Anyone else? To give you a few ideas of things you could be focusing on and going for: dragon to dragon combat, rider combat, specific weapon training or power training.
I feel like in Cinzia would... Sorry, that was at the same time.
Good.
We'd be, I don't know, working on... I already have a fast tag.
Yeah.
But working on trying to disseminate the mist breath very quickly, so we can do like a flyby.
Okay.
And yeah, what that would be.
Which I think works exactly what I think like Rithera wanted to work on her speed and her stealth,
Mm.
thinking about like how we pair up together because Rithera wants to keep up and knows that Incensia is just going to keep getting faster and faster.
Stealth would be good.
Okay.
And stealth, I thought, with the speed.
Makes sense. Okay.
And then the illusion breath adding in there, I think would be.
So it would be both of them probably training for speed and stealth in regards to combat situations and that type of thing. All right.
Yeah.
In that case, I would say that Incensia would probably get stealth. And I would say Rithera would probably be, I think, reactive control would be a good... So essentially, what that means is you've trained yourself to respond quickly and get your power, get the control and get the manifestation out fast.
Ooh, I like this.
Okay. So carrying, and feel free to collude between Dragon and Rider as to what you think, like they just did. It's yeah.
I know for Perry, what I would be doing, probably the control thing would be number one for sure.
Yeah.
Just because even though Perry does have a decent amount of control as a skill, Tourmaline still shadows his innate abilities. So probably a lot of practice just changing things from one form to another. The other thing he would be doing, which may not necessarily get a tag, but he would be a lot in the workshop, kind of learning about different metals, what would work best, because probably some of the things he's practicing are turning raw metal into liquid and then back into, turning an ingot into liquid and then back into solidified metal to make things like bolts on the fly, quite literally.
Okay. In that case, I would say, my question would be, in terms of the power, are you trying to control all of it to utilize it all, or are you trying to contain, like manage it and get the power out there? Because those are
probably manage, if anything. The idea of essentially using the power like a tool. More refined is going to be more effective than just giant blast.
That is fair. In that case, I would say let's go for precision control as a tag for Perry. And also, if you have been focusing on the workshop on the forge, you have most likely... give me a second here, because I need to remember his name. You've most likely met another master who would have helped you gain another tag. You would have met Mikala Timpt, who has a brown Lungron. And Mikala is the master dragonsmith of Harrowhold. Dragonsmithing is essentially the craftsmen who use dragonfire to temper and utilize metals in a way that isn't possible under regular, the current technology and things like that. It allows for a much purer flame, and some of the sometimes some of the magical essence of a dragon, some of their natural tendencies can, or even personalities, can rub off on the creations that you're creating. It's a little bit up and down, but I would say take dragonsmith as a tag.
Okay.
So if you ever want to make anything with dragonsmithing, let me know. We'll see how it goes. It can get weird. All right.
Tourmaline. I was gonna say, would Tourmaline have wanted to focus on anything? Does Tourmaline have the drive to focus on anything with Perry?
Tourmaline wants to do what she needs to do for Perry. So I think recognizing that her power is very strong.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what that would be called, but trying to harness all those energies that she's feeling into a more controlled way versus like, I'm not going to explode ice, because like she recognizes she killed a fish and put a crocodile in an ice cube. Like there's a lot of like wibbly wobbliness with it. So trying to take time and be intentional. Yeah, a croxicle. To try to be intentional with her power now.
Okay, and you've got a year to do this, so let's go with the tag Temperance.
Okay.
As I feel that nicely reflects the personality of Tourmaline as well, so it may come up in other situations. What this means is you can and make a note of this because this is very slightly different from a regular tag.
Okay.
You can intentionally drop dice from your power roll.
Okay, so like, can you give me an example?
If you're worried that you're going to that the thing you're doing is too dangerous, or you know, like you need some precision, and you don't want to overpower Perry's control roll, you can say, Sheepy, I'd like to manifest my power. I'd say, okay, and you're like, I have the Temperance tag, and it says I can drop dice, and I'll say, okay, roll as many D10 as you like. So you can roll 1, you can roll 2, you can roll 3. Essentially, you've learned to control how much power you manifest.
Okay, I like that. I think the only other thing that Tourmaline would be focused on is trying to help Perry slow down a little bit, and which I don't know if Perry would be resistant to it, but you know, being very patient and trying to pull Perry away from work sometimes and just enjoy like the sunset or hanging out by a fireplace, like things like that, to just encourage a little bit of slow living. But not sure if Perry would be.
Okay.
Too many exciting things to do here.
I know, but just like, you know, taking like that philosophy of like, we can take a beat and just see what's going on around us. And
would we like a roll for this, or would you like to decide through your character and roleplay?
I want to leave that. I mean, that's kind of for Dan too, because it's both. It affects Perry, but we. Could
you can roll for it.
Okay, I'm curious.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll roll and see what happens.
It's your influence over Perry rather than Perry's decision here, and I'm super okay with that.
If you would like to make it contested, that's fine.
Perry won't contest. He'll just if she does well, then
it would be resolved then.
Yeah.
A resolve.
Yes. If you have any tags, then.
Let me see. I mean, I don't think I have any tags that would affect this, unless Temperance would affect it, but I don't think that applies.
You just reduce your rolls. That's all that
would
do.
I'm just gonna. It's resolved, so I have 4d10 for that.
Okay.
So let's just see what happens. Ooh.
One success.
Okay.
So I will leave it to you. I would say, given Perry's proclivities and tendencies, I would say my own judgment call would be that it would not be a complete success, but it could be a start.
I like that. I feel like that fits well. Like, it's a little nudge into like a calm moment in Perry's day occasionally.
Okay. In that case, since you have started down the road, Perry, I will say please take the tag A Perfect Moment and put a -1 in it. So once per session, you can invoke a perfect moment to shoot a perfect shot, as you are essentially waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
Oh, patience.
So
thank you for teaching me patience, Tourmaline.
Patience will come. There may be a tag of patience later.
Thank you for showing me that can be possible. Then
it is worth Tourmaline's efforts to acknowledge it with a little mechanics. I'll also say Tourmaline, given the solidity of Tourmaline's character, definitely take patient as a tag. It may not always come into play, but I think it's worth a tag in this instance.
I like it. I can spell patient, which is embarrassing. I did it.
So I believe Ultra and Ardor
And Argent still need.
and Argent still need some tags.
Yes.
So
I know for Ultra meditation quite a bit, because like when we practiced that time, the joy took over and led to not the result that is what we intended. So I think Ultra would work with Ardor and try to teach Ardor and also work on myself for meditating a little bit. But I think like going out, like we had mentioned, like morning flights, sunrise meditation flights, and trying to find those peaceful moments that means I could harness and be more focused.
Okay. And as Ardor is the kind of block in the way, I'd say that's a lot of good training for you over the course of a year. I think in this instance, take the tag Clarity with a dash and a 1. This is another once a session thing. Essentially, your time in your own head and trying to essentially, block out different aspects and focus allows you to, once a session, essentially say, like, Sheepy, what's the best place to move? Where's the best place to attack? What's something I wouldn't usually notice? Essentially, you gain clarity for a split second where you're like, aha, Eureka. It's essentially a Eureka moment for situations.
Okay.
Needless to say, Sheepy will not remember all of these. He will reference your sheets and stuff, but just make sure you know what you got, because you'll have to invoke them to get them used.
I know that. Oh, sorry.
What's going on? Yeah.
Well, I know that we were thinking that also we would research animals and their skills and try to see
what we could harness from the animal. And like, didn't we say that I can also imbue some of the stuff on Ultra as well, or was it just me? I couldn't remember.
So, if you want to imbue traits upon Ultra, it'll require a slightly higher power roll and control roll, but it's possible. With more time and more training, it'll definitely get there. However, if you want to train it, then yeah.
Because I definitely think we'd be practicing, like figuring out what the animals are, probably studying, reading books, and like maybe just going out and trying and seeing what happens. But I think Ardor on the inside also would want to be doing anything that Ardor could for Ultra, in that like, even if it's something that is just kind of a thought of like, how would I also protect my rider
streak, where it's like, if I can get tortoise shell and then put encase them in shell, they can't get hurt.
I literally put that note on the page.
In that case, I'll say both Ultra and Ardor, you can take the tag, let's say animal traits. So, if you're wanting to know the types of things you can get, you can essentially put it on me and be like, Sheepy, I have this tag. What does do? And I would say, additional to that, take for Ardor, take Bestow Rider. If you're training and working upon using the meld, especially to be able to, so essentially when Ultra is trying to, take that power and form something on herself, you can use Bestow to gate. Anyone else with any more things that you'd have been training in? I mean, there's combat as well. If there's any type of, combat you'd like to be training in.
How are you feeling, Argent?
Yeah, so not necessarily combat right away, but I think Argent, honestly, probably just from Cassandra's influence, is super into wanting to learn, big thirst for knowledge, and is probably over the year continually tried to read more, study more, and the idea with that being like studying to figure out other dragons' powers and how to use them to benefit, like in combat, but out of combat as well. Mostly because the idea of enhancing Cassandra was really intriguing. Like, she's riding on the back of a dragon with a staff, essentially. So it doesn't necessarily lend completely well to a, gliding, slithering dragon. So potentially being able to enhance things like jumping or climbing or like, physical strength or senses. A lot of the enhancement of that could be really beneficial while out riding.
Okay.
So kind of a lot of study and a lot of maybe practicing enhancing senses, because enhance someone that can't do a lot, like with enhancement. That came out halfway the wrong way. Because I can't do anything. But like it's weaker on humans, specifically the dragon riders. So if you can get that really precise and well, it might translate better to a dragon where it's easier.
Yeah.
So a lot of studying, and practice.
In that case, I would say take enhancement as a tag for Argent.
Okay.
What I'll say is essentially it would probably come down to specific aspects like sight or legs or arms or etc. But you can enhance an aspect. If you enhance legs, jumping, running will be more effective. But you could also go even deeper than that and go lungs. If you enhance lungs, she can hold
stay
her breath
underwater
longer,
with me longer,
or have better stamina.
Yep.
So there's a lot of options there. In terms of the studying, I would say would the focus be more tactical or more lore knowledge? Like
probably a bit more tactical.
Okay.
Only because that's probably, I'm guessing that this is a guess, so correct me if I'm wrong, like what Cassandra would be getting more of in terms of books, tactics. Like I know she was studying like how to help other dragons.
Yeah, I feel like Dragon Care would directly align with Dragon Attack also.
Yeah, because you're studying dragons and how to help them, but like that's kind of a surgeon. They also know all the spots that are dangerous on a dragon.
In that instance, I think then Cassandra, if you take Dragon Lore as a tag,
okay,
and if you take I'm trying not to make the tag too long, but Argent, if you take aerial tactics, I think would suffice here. Or should we say dragon tactics, because that would apply a bit more to not just in the air.
Yeah, because if you're on the ground but still know a dragon's weak points. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a nice little year of progress for everyone. Does anyone have any others that they'd like to have been focusing on?
I think Rithera would have also, even if it wasn't 100% obvious, wanted to be working on bonding with Incensia because of the sass and a little bit of just like, I'm going without you.
Yeah.
Understanding that that's a very strong personality trait, and how do I continue as very independent person with a very independent dragon?
Yeah.
How do we work on that bonding and that connecting without forcing it or without so I think that Rithera would have also been focusing on that, and that's why she would wanted to do the speed and the stealth. And
that makes sense. So the question is, Incensia, and also Rithera, would you like to represent this through, your characters and that, or would you like to go for a role of some kind? How receptive is Incinzia to the attempts?
How competent has Rethera been? So
I think that a roll makes sense to me
Okay, okay.
on that.
In this instance, I think it would be a matter of resolve.
because trusted you with the slope and the goat.
How do you have any tags that would help you with this type of interaction?
Me? I don't think so.
Either of you, just in case before you roll your resolve.
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Standard 6+ then on the dice. I'm not 100% sure how. Oh, okay, 4. Nice.
Ooh.
And 2 successes.
2 successes.
I feel like I still act like I don't necessarily listen to her all the time, but I do as well. It's my idea.
Okay. All right.
So maybe I've picked up that as well. Maybe a little bit
Yeah,
at least of
you
like,
almost go, oh, like frame it so it seems like it's my idea.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've picked up on that at least a little bit to be like, oh, well, like, you know, you're really great at this. You're, you know, and like boosting a little bit of confidence and like not handing over the power, but like giving that little bit of leeway. And
All right. I'm gonna give you a tag for this because I think it's funny. You get the tag Incinzia Insight.
I love this.
Essentially, you figured out how to approach Incinzia, and if we need to roll for you convincing her or anything along those lines, you can invoke it to get a little bit of a bonus.
Free.
Love this.
But at the same time, Incinzia, you can
What did I do?
take the tag competitive.
Ooh, I am competitive.
Whenever you are in a situation that is competitive with your rider, you can get a bonus.
Okay, I'll put in brackets rider because otherwise I will
Yeah.
be using it to get this.
That's it. Well, I would say in instances, in one of the core of Incinzia's character traits is that she is competitive and wants to prove herself to be the best. So I could see it working with the others as well.
Yeah, we're still peeved about the first flight thing.
Yeah.
It's only been a year. You know, whatever.
Yeah, you let that red dragon get the first flight out ahead of you. The excitable puppy. So, is everyone happy, content? Are there any other little bits and pieces that you feel should be? As we go, time will move, and you'll have opportunities to learn more. So, the likelihood is more tags will turn up. All right. In that case, we will, I think, go and visit the pod on the side of Harrowhold, the main mountain. You have a cluster of 4 houses, which are partially carved into the mountainside. There is no stairs, there's no ladder, there is no way up except for flying. And you have what is essentially a very modest but nice house on the edge, on a platform slightly tucked into the to the mountainside. It's essentially a sheer cliff of just a big long giant pillar of stone. Additionally, as almost like a garage, I guess. Don't want to compare dragons to cars too much, but almost like a garage, there is additional cave to the side where the dragons tend to sleep and that type of thing. There's enough space for them in the house to a certain degree, but it's more comfortable out like that. So, with that said, you are due down on the training grounds, all of you, in your own time. Essentially, as time has gone on, you have seen Iliagar less, and the other masters a bit less. They've been going out on missions, they've been going out on patrol, and you've been left to your own devices in terms of learning. If you need help, they will help, and through this last year, you know, all of your attempts have been teachable moments and training with the masters, but as time has gone on, you're left to your devices more. So if you don't want to head down and start training, you know, your power, that's what's on the docket. But you could go and have a little bit of a swing of a sword or whatever it is you want to do for the day. So what I will say is we fade in to a mountainside. 4 houses all clustered together. The light just shining as the sun starts to come up, and you all are either waking up or just having recently woken up in your houses. Obviously, you have a dragon, so as soon as you want to leave the house, or if you want to go to each other's, I would say at the very least there's walkways to each of the houses and ropes, so you can go up and down and visit each other if needed. So keep that in mind as well.
I do feel like I'm still an early riser, and I'll be sort of sat right on the ledge, probably
keen.
eating some fruit, like with a book, like sat out there, pretty comfy, cozy for a little bit in the morning.
Okay.
I feel
I
like
think I'm.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think Argent might take a little longer than you to get up. Maybe, you know, it's snake-like, so maybe waits a little bit more in the sun, kind of sunbathes a little, maybe naps next to you as you're having breakfast and reading, that sort of thing. Just enjoying
Or like the
warming
apple
up.
claws that you use. Like...
Yeah, it will snap them up occasionally. Just little tiny bite.
One point of interest that I should tell you now is over the past year, your dragons haven't grown, but they've filled out. They've got a bit stockier, they've got a bit larger. They no longer look like the gangly teenagers that they kind of have been. They also require to eat less because they're not growing anymore. So once a day, once every few days even, is perfectly fine. As long as it's a significant meal, they can kind of sit on the food and you know, they're good for a while. However,
still tasty.
You have been, I would say at the very least, Cassandra, you would have read that every now and then, I think it would probably say every 40 to 50 years, dragons have a growth spurt.
Okay.
Whereby they increase in size, which you can tell by the Master's dragons, like they're clearly a lot larger. And feel free to take from that what you will as Cassandra.
No, that makes sense. Like for me, out of character with like lizards and snakes, right? So after a certain amount of time, they'll shed, and yeah,
but
sense.
In character, the studies that you read said every 40 to 50 years, which implies it happens on the regular.
Yeah.
You know, like more than once every, which implies. I think Cassandra would be smart enough to notice that that implies a long life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, and then when connecting the dots with the masters having much larger dragons than sort of everyday Joe dragon riders.
The masters look around 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s.
Okay. Yeah, I've connected that. Okay.
I think Ulcha, and if Ardor is partial, we would be, if it's early morning or just sunrise, we would be out flying and trying to harness that meditation, which I think by now, hopefully, we have gotten down a little bit.
Yes, I think so. I think Ardor is still very like, it's early, and the like, I have to get out of bed early, but I don't want to, but I do because this is important. And so there's like, I think there's a little less bounding energy, but still the like, I'm waking up, and I'm sure adds a little bit of peace because there's not as much excitement where like, after the flight, after maybe I've like, okay, like done something and like that's my wake up. So I definitely think that's
Ardor hasn't had their coffee yet.
The left head is draped over the center and right head asleep still. And...
Absolutely. Like there's still there's like a lazily, like one's maybe looking behind to make sure everything's, but like also resting on the body to be like, this is just easier. And yeah.
Like the idea. It's just a moment for Ardor and Ultra to have like every day before they start the day.
Yeah. And Cassandra and Argent, you'll probably see them like swoop past as they're flying around.
It's become very important to Ardor as well, like with the bonding and getting closer and just like this is our thing every morning.
Yeah.
Try not to wake the neighbors up because we don't want to be bad neighbors. So we try to like quietly swoop out and swoop around, but hopefully not wake anybody up in the process too.
Yeah. And Ardor is still very loud, I'm sure. It's still so like, maybe not fully clumsy for a dragon, but like there might be the like, oh, I'm trying to sneak and be quiet, but oh, that's a rock. It's fine. I might have just hit the cliffside with a little bit of, it's all good.
You got 3 left feet, only one's right.
Basically, yes.
I feel like it'd be hard to like fly with 3 heads too. Just in general, that seems like it would be
massive
different,
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I think you've probably learned being a rider with Ardor is that Ardor's great at surveillance, like recon and stuff. Essentially, the 3 heads allows for a much wider range of vision and senses. So when you fly over somewhere, Ardor can pretty much see the entirety of the ground and like even behind you and things like that. So
I'm feeling that'll be handy in the future.
I think so.
Yeah. So that's at least what I would think be doing.
Okay.
You see us up in the sky every day.
So I think what I'll say is, does anyone have any, like, are there any conversations that need to be had or want to be had? Because we could move forward into the training if you like. It just depends on if anyone needs to talk to anyone about anything. At this point, you all have your Perry saddles. Essentially, if you want to get into what they look like, feel free. Like they're essentially an open invitation to be inventive for saddles. But yeah, you've all been riding and training for a year now, so some of I imagine some of the awkwardness of the pod has dissipated. Feel free to read into that how you will. I imagine the relationships have changed a little bit between the dragons and between the riders.
I feel like, and anyone else can if you feel differently, but I feel like Rathera probably would have taken on the role of like making sure there was food prepped for everybody, kind of just being like, this is my morning routine. Maybe Cincy and I go for a run, we go for a hunt, we grab the food, like just being an early morning, because that's what she was really used to up in the mountains was like, okay, there's a meal. Okay, there's this, and like kind of giving and taking in the mountain cave home.
I definitely grouch about it like every single morning. But we go and do it anyway. And then it's fine. And then I follow you around wanting food, scraps, even though I'm not really hungry.
Harry's, I think, the non-early riser because he
Yeah.
just works way too late into the night on whatever project he has, which I'm sure is very not disappointing, but one of those points of let's go take a break from Tourmaline.
I think Tourmaline's always by your feet. Like the way I view it is like he's, she's big, but Perry, when you're up, like Tourmaline's like laying by you or sitting by you and just kind of. So Tourmaline's probably up as late as you are, but also probably napping throughout it. And then Tourmaline's awake earlier, but will sleep until you get up. Like just lay there, kind of calmly, all right.
It's a big dog.
Yeah. Just kind of waiting for, and like it's a lazy morning. And so Tourmaline's used to lazy mornings until you get up.
So probably the food is cold every morning for Perry, and he's used to that and doesn't care.
And probably knowing that that's the last food that I drop off in the morning of being like, okay, like you're being like, Perry's the last one awake. So
I like the idea of Perry having customed the houses slightly and like sawn out a little like window at the front of each of the houses with a little
Like a little like a pickup window.
yeah, like a little pickup window. So as Rithera goes around dropping off the food, it's just left on the open window to like waft in. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, saddles he would have made to anyone's specs they want. I know for he's probably there's a bunch of gears and things set into his saddle.
Yeah.
Because he likes the idea of potentially being able to shift his position since he's got a crossbow. So it's a bit more mechanical. Potentially being able to slide out or like up because he's tiny. He needs to be able to see over the dogs and Tourmaline.
Yeah.
Just Tourmaline in the background. Don't worry about it.
I haven't told you guys yet, but in this world there are flying dogs, so that's why you're hearing.
That's why we heard that. Yeah,
That's
okay, that
why
makes
we're here.
sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
A flock of Dutch hound sausage dogs are currently going past the window.
We don't have chickens or roosters crowing in the morning. We have dogs barking at dawn. Yeah.
Got it.
For Cassandra's and Argent's, I feel like it wouldn't have anything that could be destroyed by getting, wet when we go into water and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's probably like
Some treated leather.
yeah, treated leather and like quite supple because obviously it needs to be able to move really well. But also,
And probably it's probably the only one that has a proper like strap under the belly.
yeah, it has to go all the way around.
Yeah.
And
Might
probably like
even have,
inlaid
like-
with designs.
like a seatbelt maybe, just so that if he like shifts upside down
Yeah.
and stuff, you don't fall out.
I think what Perry might have done for you is, if you'd wanted, is there's a lever there that can let you rotate where the saddle is depending on how the movement is. So you can basically kind of like not a gyroscope, but
So
the
it would
idea
always
of
be,
that
like, the right.
you can right yourself no matter what, or at least he's trying to work on that.
I like that. That's really cool.
Nice. And yeah, it's all inlaid with sort of designs, probably.
Yeah.
A bit fancy.
Would you have put those on yourself? Yeah, I was gonna say, would you put those on yourself? Because
no.
I doubt Perry's aesthetic would have been.
No, but I'll get the designs.
Yeah.
If you can get, all he needs is a blueprint. So if you get, he could filigree things.
like,
You just,
please make this happen.
yeah, because he wouldn't do that naturally. It would look very practical at first.
Yeah. So a little bit collaboration making the saddle. That's nice.
Pretty much.
I think that I forgot the word saddle for a second. The saddle that Perry would have made for Ardor is something that I could use hands free. So if I'm meditating, that I would still kind of be, maybe there's something to hook into that my pants hook into or something that allows me to sit up there and be able to maneuver without having to use my hands to like hold on.
Leg holsters, maybe.
Yeah, maybe holsters.
Yeah,
just
instead of like a stirrup, but actually spots you can put your legs into to better help stay and control.
So Ulja has incredible core strength, apparently, but also just like, also it's a very simple saddle because she comes from a place where you don't really need a lot of elegance or things like that. So it's just kind of a very simple thing, but very practical.
You don't need all that fancy stuff. You know you're superior.
I'm not trying to throw shade at Cassandra. I probably look at Cassandra's saddle and be like, that's so pretty, but I was never allowed to have those things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like no, I just got to do the practical thing. But I probably have an eye and feel guilt internally about like, wow, look at how pretty that is. But you've also probably noticed a shift in Ulcha since she came back from the trip. And since the meditation the first time didn't go as well with trying to turn a frog tongue, and it turned Ardor into a slimy mess for a bit. So just her demeanor is completely, I don't want to say softer, but just more quiet.
Her confidence has taken a bit of a hit.
Yeah, and also just trying to refocus on what I grew up with and be like, this is what's important. And I was curious because it's been some time what the interactions with the people in the community would have been like.
Okay. I would say that you don't interact directly often with the other pods.
Okay.
I would say some of you may have noticed that it is slightly intentional. The masters don't encourage socializing. There is also a bit of competitiveness between the pods. I would say though, however, you've probably met all of the riders, all of the new riders at some point, and all of the masters. What I can tell you is that there are only a couple of yellow dragons of different types. There are, all told, about 5 of each dragon color between all the riders. But there are like 7 to 10 green dragons. They're the most common and the one you'll see around the most. So
I feel like Rethera's saddle with Incensia would be a lot about like getting the speed and aerodynamics. So like wanting something to help with that and like being able to like almost lay straight down but still being able to hold on. But
maybe some like grips, like
like
farther up.
Head grips, so you could like go completely prone.
Like almost like a racing bike kind of idea is what
exactly.
in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes me think. I just thought of like a trick saddle for horses where they have like little bit loops, so if you ended up going off to the sides, you wouldn't fall off, or lean over and throw your axes and stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Making it as like versatile with the speed to be able to like keep that going. But Rethera also would have come to you with the stone that she had from carving out her home in the mountain and asked that you put that into the saddle.
Oh yeah,
like
probably,
maybe like
probably put it in the saddle horn, in the pommel of the saddle. Yeah.
I just want to say for a second that I had never considered saddles being so personalized and awesome for the dragon riders. I really like it. It reflects the personality and the nature of each of the dragons. It's really cool. So thank you. Shall we head to the training grounds? Do a little see how you go. So at this point, your training is, there's still an aspect of learning to it, but it is also repetition to really get into the reflexes and the natural state of manifestation for the dragons, and control and actualizing, let's say, for the riders. At this point, you have a good control on your between both of you, each dragon and rider. So you're able to do a lot more than what we represented in the last episode. If you'd like, we can give a bit of a demonstration. If anyone would like to, give it a shot. Who's going? Someone, go on. Oh, okay. Someone's chosen.
I feel like this would probably become part of our morning practice of our runs.
Yeah.
Of like me going on a run and being like, okay, like we really need to hone this.
I feel like sometimes I would be trying to use it on Ultra and Ardor on them.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Like, if you can, I'm helping, right? Because then if you can
They have to learn
meditate
to.
through that, then that's what the argument is. If you brought it up ever.
Okay.
What?
Resisting. Do like flyby mist breath like in front of them almost. And trying, because then we'll be able to practice like being fast, being sneaky so they don't notice.
Ooh.
And
Just kind of like, why is there a dampness on my arm?
What kind of things would you want to put into the image? Would it be like dampness? Would it be all of a sudden like a sudden cold, or would it be like bird noises to try and like get Ultra to
it would
like
be random things like a foghorn one day, and then some days it'd just be nothing, and then other days it would be like
You can do like whispering, like, what's that over there?
So I'm slowly losing my mind is what I'm getting from this. Like, do you hear that? And everyone's like, no. And so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you meditating?
Oh my gosh.
I didn't say the whispers. I was like foghorns.
And I just said birds. Ooh.
Look out behind
Oh
you.
no, and like just the directionality, because I imagine they will go on like a certain route quite often, and so I'll just try and like.
Right.
And
So, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say because it's hard to sneak up on Ardor. Like that's the thing of like Ardor can see everything normally always. In the morning, I'll probably like, 2 of the 6 eyes are closed. I can do math, right?
Yeah.
Like probably like one of the heads is still fully asleep. So like,
Imagine like we're trying different ways, right? Some days we might have been caught, and that's part of the practice. But I imagine probably the most effective is to fly directly up from underneath them.
I think so.
Because
So
yeah,
you have a decent Rithera, you have a decent control over the mist. Incensia can manifest it and bring it into being. And you both have a certain control over what is experienced inside the mist. What this does mean is that you can also, like, and this is worth thinking about for the future as we go. Incensia can straight shoot, just like go like a bat out of hell and just lay a mist behind her. And anyone following or getting into it will essentially be caught in the illusions. The other thing you can do is Incensia can be still and slowly dissipate it around a large area, and you can keep it very slight, almost like a little
Haze,
film, a haze, until you choose to properly solidify it, and then a giant, depending on your power and your control, a huge area can suddenly be, boom, hallucination. So there's a lot of ways to utilize it.
okay.
In this instance, how would you like to utilize this?
I feel like Rithera would be on the side a little bit of like, okay, well, like let's help. The Ultra wants to meditate. Like, let's help with the distraction.
Okay.
But then that wouldn't be every morning.
Yeah.
Like some mornings it would be like, I'm going to give Serene calm and like you can't hear anything. And it's like stepping into a sound studio where it's just like very quiet, or like maybe some like calming music, if that's or like that sense.
Yeah, totally.
But then other times it would be like, yeah, a foghorn, or like here's a whole bunch of birds, Or did you hear that owl?
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that.
So, are we assuming that the mist is being disseminated around Ultra and Ardor for now?
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as
sorry.
Ultra's okay with
Okay.
this.
I have a question. Like, yeah, does Ultra know that you're doing this? Like, do
Well,
I
I imagine
figure
you've
it out
caught
at
us
some?
like at least a few times.
Well,
Okay.
I would definitely think that you would have gotten used to it and know that it happens on semi-regular occasions.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm fine with that because I think Ultra will be like, at first, like, what? Why are they doing this? And then realizing, like, if I can meditate through a foghorn and these things that it helps with the distractions that probably are important to deal with.
Yeah.
Especially in battle. Like,
I was just thinking, in hindsight, we're helping Ultra.
Yeah, exactly. We are.
And
And I think that Rithera might have picked up on that a little bit sooner. Like,
Mhm.
might have noticed that Incinzia was just doing it to kind of be like,
Show.
we're clearly like, look at how
Yeah.
great we are.
yeah,
But then also been like, you know what? No, this could really help Ulcha to hone in on that meditation that maybe we've had a conversation about how
Don't
important.
tell me that.
But I wouldn't, yeah.
I like the idea that I caught you one day doing it, and then since then I'm like, oh, but I do feel like I don't know that you would necessarily keep it a secret from me.
No.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that Rithera would have like come to you and been like, after you've caught us,
yeah.
maybe been like, hey, I'm sorry. Like maybe that was a little too far, but like as someone who wants to help you try and get better, this is something that
So
we might do from time to time just to like help you improve if, you know.
shall we expand on that slightly and say that there is now a game between the two pairs of dragon and riders?
Yes.
It is try and distract Ultra and try and get past Ardor. And
You're like,
it means that in Cinzia and Rithera, the goal is to essentially wreath them in mist and get to Ultra before Ardor picks up where you are and tracks you down. So it's kind of like a game of tag.
Yeah,
So-
I was curious how Ardor felt about this.
I
but
mean,
if
I feel
yeah.
like you.
I feel like Ardor very much is like, oh, this is fun. Like I don't have to meditate and just sleep in the morning some mornings.
Mm,
I haven't had my coffee, but you know, I like this because it adds a little bit. If we maybe do semi take the same route every morning, or like maybe we go over new areas when we're flying, but it gives us that. It gives Ardor that little spice that I think Ardor needs in the sense of I am bored meditating every morning, but
a little bit of
Also,
fun, excitement, and a little bit of playing.
yeah, playing exactly.
All right then. In this instance, let me set things up a little bit. Where Ultra, you are in repose, essentially, off to the side, closer to the forest, in the training grounds. Ardor is kind of lazily, like paw over paw, nearby. As in Cinzia and Rithera, you watch from the trees, from the underbrush. And in Cinzia, you start to manifest your power. You start to disseminate this mist as it slowly like creeps along the ground and moves towards Ardor and moves and encircles them and starts to dissipate and head out. Still kind of a film, noticeable, but also it's not the thick. Could we please get a power roll from Incinzia and a control roll from Rithera, please? And I believe you're being sneaky or stealthy?
I'm being stealthy and competitive.
Yes, you are. So that will put the success gate at 4.
Okay.
Rithera, I feel like this is something you have been convinced in Cinzia that this is her idea. So
Oh, absolutely.
in terms of control, I will accept. I think I said Incensia knowledge or Incensia insight.
Insight, yes.
I got 3.
3 successes. As did Rithera.
I had 3 as well.
All right. In that case, Ardor and Ulcha suddenly, it's like a sudden mist, a sudden fog descended, really thick and difficult to see around you, as you start to hear Ulcha. What you doing? You training? You meditated? Don't get distracted.
I deep breathe more and try to exist along with it.
Could you please roll me your resolve?
Okay.
And Oddle, could you please roll me your resolve? If you feel you have tags that would help you here, do let me know.
I don't think so.
Oh.
2 successes, and
Ardor has none. If it's a 6.
all right.
How
Ardor's like-
appropriate.
Just like all 3 heads are like, la la la.
In this instance, Ultra, this time, you're not ready for it, but you know what's happening when it happens. And there's a little twitch and a little breaking of concentration for a second, and then it's back to, la la la, I can't hear you. Ardor, you are distracted by shadows in the mist, and your heads, the 2 side heads, try to go in different directions, chasing different little critters that are running around in the mist. And you can hear kind of like a galumphing around Ultra as Ardor gets super excited by all the little shadows and critters that are turning up in front of her. I was gonna have Incensia and Rithera roll a martial stealth type thing to see how well you sneak in and get to Ultra. I think Ultra suddenly, they're both in front of you, and you realize that Ardor's lost again.
Again.
I am gonna literally like nudge
Yeah.
Ultra over almost like
you feel like a hot breath on your shoulder as a nose like pokes you, and you kind of like slip off your chair, kind of little stool you've been using.
I just trying to learn to be like poked and prodded a little bit mentally and physically, it seems like. So just trying to like harness this and be patient with this, because I know in the long run this will probably end up helping me a lot.
If Ultra fell down or like was on there, like all of a sudden on the
Kinda
ground,
slipped. Yeah.
Did
I
I,
would-
fall?
Incensia, was it enough to? Okay, yeah, you fell.
Okay.
or I'm grabbing the stool, like who knows?
Yeah.
I would reach down to help you up and be like, we won today.
Again.
There will be a day where we win. And then you won't be able to stop us.
It's like a crash of trees and a squawking of birds as Ardor's like out in the distance somewhere, very, very lost and very
You're just like seeing like a giant animal in the bushes. You're just seeing trees kind of swaying as like thud, 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 thud down one side and thud, 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 thud back down the other.
You
I'm
probably
trying to be
Jurassic Park.
confident.
Basically.
you probably even hear Ardor like calling for you, like
Ultra!
I'm just trying to like be a little intimidating. I have to go. And then I turn around and start heading into the woods, and I'm like, don't look back.
Yeah.
Don't look back
Good
as I
luck.
head towards Ardor.
And Rithera would like calmly put a hand on Incensia, like, yeah, we did it. We're great.
okay. Would anyone else like to have a little flex of the old power muscles?
Oh yeah. Harry kind of nods to Tourmaline and hops on the saddle, gets out his wrist crossbow, and he's got, instead of like a quiver, just like a sack. He's got his like tools attached to him, but he now has like a pouch, and it's full of small ingots.
Okay.
Refined metals, probably steel is more than likely, or maybe some iron for cheaper. Depending, like probably for practice, he would use the cheaper metals. So
Yeah,
he'd probably have iron with him.
one of the benefits of having dragons about, especially dragon riders and dragons with the power of brown dragons, is the ability to mix metals and alloys quite easily.
Yep. Yeah. But for the sake of cost benefit, he probably like in
for
practice he'll use iron, but steel is what he like real training he'll use, like if he's out anywhere hunting or whatnot.
I don't want to like force you to. It's not going to be combative with Perry and Argent, but obviously as Cassandra,
Yeah.
what would you like to do as Argent? Because we could help with this metal gold situation. We could do some filigree. We could. What do you want him to do?
Essentially, Argent and Cassandra could help with the forming. If you like, for example, if you take the ingots and you shift them into a mold, Cassandra and Argent can dictate the density and hardness of the form it takes when it goes solid.
Or as Argent, if you want to work on like our connecting stuff.
Okay.
Argent and Cassandra could also, because essentially Perry will be able to do it, but individually. Cassandra and Argent could make it a mass, so you could do it in an instant on multiple targets.
Yeah, because he would have like his little mold probably attached to his saddle, so he can just kind of like plop ingot in, tourmaline melt, and then Argent, Cassandra affect hardness and like of all of them sort of thing to make it, like a nice little collaboration. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
In that case, I imagine that you have like Perry kind of going over the gear, getting everything set up and ready to utilize, with a little kind of floating Cassandra and Argent in the wings, ready to like pop in and adjust the manifestation when you use it. Well, I imagine Tourmaline sitting there, probably with some type of tool or other gripped between the teeth, just like, here to help.
Yep, probably like during setup, like holding the bag of ingots to make sure that, because they're not big, it's like, they're crossbow bolts. It's not like they're 3-pound ingots or whatever. Probably hold the bag of that while he's getting like the mold ready to attach to the saddle, and then when that's all together, hopping up on Tourmaline to practice doing this while flying, and then nodding to Cassandra and Argent to get ready to enhance.
Okay. In that case, Tourmaline, would you please roll me your power as you manifest? I believe you have magically gifted, which gives you a 5 success gate.
Okay. I'm sorry, what again did you want me to roll?
Your power, please.
My power. Okay, that's 5d10.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's 3 successes. Perry, could you roll me your control, please, as you essentially attempt to use
Yes,
this power?
and would this be considered precision control, since I'm...
This would be precision control for you, yes.
Perfect.
That's a 5 success escape. Oof. So 1. Okay. As you see the manifestation starting to take form, Cassandra, you see the threads of it, the connection, and you're able to essentially reach out and adjust it and to enhance it or to expand it. What would your goal be? And yeah.
Well, can I tell that it's getting a bit beyond Perry, or?
Yes, I would say that you would be able to tell that the control of the power manifest is tenuous.
Okay.
So if you want to expand it and help control, you could, or you could kind of help to focus and concentrate it, so that it doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah, I think I'd like to focus it, because obviously things have gone wrong before.
Okay.
I imagine.
Yeah. Argent, could you please roll me your power?
Absolutely.
Mention if you have any tags. Same for you, Cassandra, as you roll your control.
I have no text.
Okay.
No tag enhancement would be more for. Well, I guess if it's helping Perry, would enhancement actually help here?
Enhancement would apply here, yes.
Okay. That would be power.
Wow, that is... Oh, yes, it was a 5+, so that is 3 successes and 2 successes. I would say...
I got a 5. It was a 5.
I thought you didn't have any tags.
Oh, you mean... no, I don't.
Yeah.
So it's 5 for Perry.
Sorry, it would be 5 for Argent and 6 for
Right. I
Cassandra.
was like, but I have a 5.
Apologies. So, I think it's a little bit fidgety still. It's a little bit slow. You don't think you're ready to utilize this in combat yet. It needs a bit more practice, but with the assistance, especially of Cassandra, you're able to at least control the power and not let it get out of hand. So there's maybe a few splashes of liquid metal that solidify. A couple of the bolts are a little misshapen. They don't take the form you were hoping they would, or you solidify them a bit off. But essentially, the theory is sound, and with more time and more practice, you'll definitely get there.
It's rather
Perry seems
difficult, isn't it,
pleased.
Perry?
Yeah, it takes a lot, but the practice is good, and we can get this mastered. I mean, I could do some of this stuff for all of you on the fly, quite literally.
Well, not all of us have bolts, Perry.
No, but I mean, like, we could do other things. Like, I mean, I could throw an ingot out, and we could change it into, like, a shield if there's an incoming projectile of some kind. Like, there's a lot of different applications we could do because we can manipulate the metal.
Or hot metal rain.
Well, it's not hot necessarily because we're not actually adjusting
Well, I
heat.
can add the heat.
You could do that. Oh, that's a good idea too. Could even change a bolt mid-flight to turn it into liquid metal, but heated liquid metal.
Like a terrible
Perry's-
rain.
Perry pulls out a notebook and starts writing down more ideas and gets completely distracted yet again.
Should we try it? For
Oh.
fun. Should
Oh,
we try
now?
it?
Yeah, we could. There's danger, of course, because it will be liquid hot metal. So just have to be prepared. Cassandra, do you have any of the salves on you again, so we don't run into an incident like last time?
Of course, every time you practice with metal now.
Smart. Yes. Yeah.
Also,
Maybe-
I throw it the other direction.
Yes, maybe
Yes.
we throw it away from us this time.
Probably a good idea.
Yes, okay. And like pulls out just one ingot from his satchel and if you're ready, and like gets it to just kind of huck with his mind, he wants it to melt and then re-solidify flat.
Okay.
So try not to do anything hot at the moment for practice.
Essentially.
So melt and then
Not before
reform.
you,
Alright. Could I get another power roll from Tourmaline and a control from Perry, please?
And then while he's throwing it, he looks over at Cassandra and Argent to just hardness, as hard as possible.
Okay.
Does magically gifted tie into this one again?
Yes.
Okay.
So that'll be
And-
a 5+.
Probably precision as well.
Precision, definitely.
Okay, control.
Now, if you were
Well,
trying,
that's a lot better.
If you were trying to make an entire lake into gas, then that would not be precision.
No. This is a piece of metal trying to get a very thin sheet.
Okay.
Since they're not large ingots, so it's very thin, which is why he wants to focus on hardness from
Yeah.
Cassandra and Argent.
So, Perry, you throw the ingot, and as you throw it, it takes a much more liquid, kind of like manipulatable form, as it essentially spreads out a little bit in as it keeps going. Cassandra and Argent, please roll me a power and a control.
Power and control.
Yes, please.
After you, Argent. And then, oh, that's so much better.
Whew. Okay, so that is 2 successes for Argent and 4 successes for Cassandra. Essentially, the power's there, Cassandra. There's a limit to what you can do with it, but you can do pretty much whatever you want with it at the same time.
Yeah, I want to make it into like a really, just he said as hard as it can be. So
But
that's what we're.
what you can also do with that amount of control, you could manipulate the form of it to flatten it out and then harden it so it's ridiculously sharp.
Oh yeah, I wanted it to be like a proper disc.
Yeah. So essentially, as the ingot stays in a liquid form, it flattens and it thins out. And then as you reform the hardness, you essentially turn it back into a solid. Cassandra and Argent make it razor sharp. It is solid and, it can almost cut air. That's how sharp it is.
That's what we want.
What you actually see is a kind of like... It disappear into the forest with kind of like a kind of crashing and things like that. And then there's a split second when nothing happens. And then a path down the forest of trees just start to... as the blade has passed through the trunks and cut them. It's probably about 7 foot of trees that just start falling down in a straight shot line.
Oh,
That was not the intention, but I like the result.
perhaps we should move away from the trees quickly.
Also a good idea.
There's like a kind of a and like a flapping as a very agitated owl like flaps out of the remains of the trees. He'd been sleeping and you woke him up.
Oh no. Good thing Ultra's not here.
It's fine, Ultra didn't do it. It was Tourmaline.
Tourmaline turns around though, and even though it's not what we intended, pretty excited that we did that, and looks at Perry, and if dragons could smile, kind of like that little... Can dragons smile?
So dragons can lift their lips up a little bit, and also essentially when they're happy, their overbite comes down a little bit more as the corners of the mouth lift up a little bit. It looks kind of goofy because you've got these like front teeth that are like, but it also looks a little bit like a growl or a snarl, that kind of like, but yes, kind of.
Okay, so Tourmaline looks at Perry and is doing that, and then kind of like in a way like are you proud of me? Kind of thing. Like a little bit of the eye, like,
Like a eh?
we did it.
Eh?
Yeah. Which I think the response you'd get from Perry is him writing notes in his notebook, which maybe for you might be interpreted as it went well. He wants to note down how it worked.
Mm-hmm. I probably know by now that if you're writing, it means that something went right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just kind of that, like, looking back at Perry, just with big eyes, like, hey, we did something. Did you see? Did you see, Perry?
And yeah, and then you'd see him, as you look
If you
over.
don't reply well enough, I'm gonna like bonk you with the stave. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably like pull out just. Oh, that was awesome. That was really good. And then like keeps writing down.
And I mean, then Tourmaline's gonna pan to Cassandra and Argent, and
We did so well. For our first time,
you did very well, Tourmaline, and of course Argent.
then like I'd walk over to Argent and
Very
sit
good.
down next to just to sit down, like lazy sit next to Argent, like just hanging out.
That went exceptionally well.
Perhaps we should take notes if
My memory is quite good, but we could.
if I have learned anything from Perry, note-taking is important.
We could document what we've done for others to learn.
so we could write a book for future Silver Dragon.
Yes.
Or I didn't realize that's something you wanted to do.
I didn't know it was either.
Well, I can help you with that. I have thumbs.
Show
So
off.
Yes, that would be easier, I think.
I could do that. I have thumbs.
okay. Well, we can start when we get back. We could go now.
Are we done here?
I think Perry's going to be writing for a while.
He will be.
Yes.
Unless you want to help Rothera and Zinzia or whatever Ultra is doing. Where is Ultra?
I'm unsure.
Did I
You
hear
may
the
have-
owl in the tree?
I think you'd
Expected the
probably
owl.
still be distracted. Yeah.
Okay,
so
never mind then.
You should be fine. But also, as you are gathered around and talking, you see. You're probably kind of. I would say you hear the voice of Iliavar as he says, "Good morning, students."
Good morning, teacher.
Yep.
Where are the other two pair?
You
Writing,
probably
practicing.
You probably still see the trees,
Yeah.
kind of like that's probably what you see in the distance, like far away. You see the trees kind of
Kind
rustling,
of rattling and shaking.
as if that's happening at the same time.
I think they're practicing stealth.
Cassandra, could you gather the other two?
Boss.
Thank you.
And I'll just potter off to them, I guess. If Argent's comfy, I'll
Yeah.
go walk.
Argent's definitely just chilling.
Sitting around.
Around with Tourmaline.
Yeah, Tourmaline's just sitting there, like looking around, kind of just taking in the forest, and probably leans over to Argent or just looks at Argent.
I think you two would write a wonderful book.
Well, as said, I cannot write.
You can write it together, like Cassandra said.
Oh, a collaboration, yes. Yes, I thought you meant literally, yes. That would be, I think so. We have read many books, we know the formats.
Would Cassandra read the book to me when you finish it?
More than likely, I could also.
You would read me a story.
But I suppose it is like a story. Story of notes and experiments.
Perry would love this story as well.
I think so. If he could pay attention long enough to listen.
He is busy. Have you noticed that as well?
He is always busy.
I am trying to let him see the forest sometimes.
That is good. That is good. I fear he does not get enough exercise.
His leg fidgets quite a bit while he's taking notes. Is that not enough exercise?
I thought that was a disorder.
Oh, perhaps I should get him out on more walks.
Perhaps.
Do you like walking, or, excuse the crude term, slithering?
I float more than walk. It is easier.
I wish I could float like you.
Flying is neat. You have wings.
True. I float in a different way.
Yes.
Does Cassandra take time to rest?
I think reading is resting for her.
Perhaps tinkering is rest for Perry.
He kind of furrows his brow and
I'm unsure if that is considered rest. I've seen the candlelight on very late.
Yes. I do see the bags under his eyes as well. The late nights are very long. And then the mornings are a little later, but I do not think it's enough sleep.
Maybe some chamomile tea. I could ask Cassandra if there is extras we could bring by.
Could I give it to him as a gift?
I suppose so. I don't see why not.
I could trade you something to help thank you for getting it for me.
I would think there is plenty in our stores. I'll ask with Cassandra.
I would like Perry to have a calm moment.
That would be difficult, but I think you can do it.
Thank you, Argent.
Oh, of course. No problem at all.
On like as the conversation's wrapping up, you all of a sudden just see Ardor come like crashing through, like found the like trees that were chopped down, and it's like a path leading right to it. Hi. Oh. Hello. Did you see those things?
Which things?
The shadow things they just ran through here.
No, there were no shadow things here, but Cassandra was sent to look for you and Ulcha and Cynthia.
Oh, okay, I'll wait here then.
Shadows?
Can you wait?
Can I wait? I mean, if I have to. Only if I have to.
I was unsure if that was possible for you.
It's kind of boring to wait, but like one head just kind of starts like looking around and watching a bird and just like completely
As like a little bit of there's a little bit of stalking to this. There's a little bit of like proud strutting as Incinzia comes in crawling on her wings, forearms.
I do want to try and like leap on Ardor, you know, because I already knocked Ultra over today, so.
Okay, you're gonna jump on Ardor's back.
Yeah.
Do we see it happen? Like Arjun and I see it like about to happen?
Yeah.
And just watch.
Arjun wouldn't say a thing.
And then again, Ardor.
No, you didn't win.
I win.
I saw you coming.
You didn't.
Can I roll to see if I did see Incinzia coming?
In this instance here, yes. In that case, I would say that would be. I would say resolve.
And what would you like from me, if anything?
It would be martial.
Okay.
And if you're trying to use stealth and etc.,
Yeah.
you would have.
I do have fast and stealth.
Are you trying to be fast, or are you just? I would say in this instance, probably one or the other. You're trying to get there
Okay.
before she notices,
Yeah.
or you're trying to.
Well, yeah, she was talking to the others about shadow things like stealthy.
Yeah.
Competitive.
Mhm.
Right.
If I can have those, but if not, I'll just have stealthy.
I would say stealthy in this instance.
And I think,
Yes.
I win anyway.
There's probably a like just before maybe as Incendia's in the air.
Yeah, your
you
head
get
turned.
the head catches it.
So like, you see that shadow thing?
And
I will
one-
also say you do have a tag for this, which is it applies to this, which is can't be outnumbered. It's the 3 heads.
Oh yeah.
So
I feel like Ardor would be 100% trying to play it off as like Incendia didn't win because it's like it is the game, right? So Ardor doesn't want the game to stop because Ardor loves it, but like also is like, well, if I admit that Incendia wins, then
she may stop playing.
she may stop playing.
I'm 100% bickering. I'm like, of course I won.
You didn't win. There were shadow things, and no.
I made the shadow things. Those were mine. So I win twice.
No.
Yeah.
Fine. This time you win. But next time, you can't outnumber me. There are 3 of me. Well, 1 of me, but 3 of my heads. I will see you coming. I will keep 2 eyes on you at all times.
Good luck. Can't pay attention that long.
As the riders join, being led by Cassandra, and Iliagar, who is this time actually not accompanied by Avenda, says, "Okay, settle down. I have something that we need to talk about." So, I have good news for you all. We have received a missive, and we require the presence of a pod to investigate some going-ons in the area. A small mining village to the south of the city of Frontier has had a strange occurrence happen at it. The traders arrived there to gather wares and ores to be brought back, and from what we are hearing, no one was there. It is a bit of a mystery, and we have been engaged to investigate to see if there are any larger concerning issues. As a vendor is currently resting, I will require the 4 of you to head out to the village to investigate and to deem whether it is safe or whether it is in need of further investigation. As this is your first time out, I have assigned a couple of riders from another pod to be in reserve in case you need them. They will meet you at the embarkation point at the entrance to Harrowhold. My directives are that you should think about appointing a pod leader for the mission. Have a think about what might be needed and who would best suit the role this time. It does not need to be a permanent position.
Teacher, should we be ready for combat, just in case?
All signs point to this not being imminently dangerous, but you should be ready to respond if needed, and you have your reserves who will be nearby if required. Now, I have to go and see to a vendor. I wish you luck. This is your first time on your own, so remember to act like dragon riders and do your best.
We will resolve it, Master, and return very quickly.
Thank you, teacher.
Of course. Are there any questions before I leave? Very well. Good luck. And he gives you a nod and heads off back towards the mountain of Harrowhold.
Perry, you know a lot about mining, do you not?
Yes, I have a pretty good knowledge of it.
I understand a little bit of it, but in terms of a leader of knowing what might not be in the best, or if something's wrong, I don't know if I could personally discern that. Would you feel comfortable?
Comfortable, no, but I mean, I can help if I can determine if things are wrong, but I don't know if that's a leadership role. I was gonna honestly say, I mean, will you and Cynthia, because you can stealth and sneak around a bit and see things that we might not be able to see ahead of time. I can see if something's off, but
Well, if we are investigating first, then as perhaps a softer touch would be helpful. Some, organize people to their strengths. So, for example, Cynthia and Ruthera could fly by and scout without being too close, and then Perry and myself can investigate the mining and such, and Ultra would be brilliant at, keeping an eye out overall with all the eyes.
Sandra, are you saying you'd like to be our leader for this?
Well, I mean, if you're suggesting it.
that's fine by me.
I think you'd be a great leader, Cassandra.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. Yes.
I am happy to let you lead.
Then let's go directly.
Right.
I do have a quick question.
Yes, Ultra.
Did something happen to a vendor?
Would I know of anything like?
Hasn't been
No.
mentioned.
Well, I think he would have asked for assistance if he needed it. Perhaps.
It was just odd that he mentioned that a vendor was resting.
They could have just been out riding recently, and
Yeah.
a vendor is tired from a lot of scouting, maybe?
Or maybe they were out on a mission and
The masters do tend to take on longer missions in further reaches and can be gone for a while. I will also say there's been instances where you've seen the return of a master, and they and their dragons have been fairly cobbled and slashed, and there's wounds and things just healing, etc. So,
Well, I believe he would ask for help if he required it from us, but
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if something had happened.
It could just be our next test.
I would say that in general, you've probably all got more of an idea of what the masters go through in terms of in the general sense. I will also say it's probably not something that is talked about very often, but I imagine that it's come up every now and then. The last batch of dragon riders was about 40-50 years ago, and it was also 44 dragons and riders, and there are only 11 masters, so
I think that just made Ulcha, or internally thinking about Ardor being in a situation that they could get hurt in, and so trying to not let that worry kind of take over, but just like, oh, okay, maybe this is just like a normal thing that happens with dragons and their dragon riders. Do we know who? Oh, we should have asked who's coming with us.
Well, they'll meet us at the entrance of Harrowhold, so we'll see soon enough. I need to swing by and get a bunch of bolts anyway, since making them on the fly is a little difficult.
let's head back and prepare, and then set off as soon as, well, maybe not as soon as possible, because if we get there at dark, it will be. But regardless, let's see how quick we are.
Good idea.
I'm going to sort of pour off to Argent and head off back as quick as she can now. I'm like, ooh. Packing everything. The kitchen sink, like, poor Argent.
Rithera's probably packing like rations and things like that and making sure that everybody's got that stuff all sorted and ready.
Yeah. Shall we move on to you meeting your backup? Right. So as you alight at the front of Harrowhold, you see a very large, quite muscled man alongside a Lungron that's kind of wrapped around him in a very kind of serpentine, like ready to strike pose, and it's yellow. There's also a very light blue hydrang with the 3 heads and kind of much larger. I think probably one of the largest dragons you've seen so far in the new Dragon Riders, with possibly the shortest dragon rider you've seen, quite a small girl. Ultra, especially, you will recognize the guy. It is Jerix.
Thought so.
And as you all walk forward to join them, you see him kind of like smirk a little bit, and his teeth are shown, and it's one of those like whisper not whispers, and he says, "Looks like the worst pod has finally got their first mission."
We can hear this though, right? All right. I just immediately step up to him. Have you been out already?
I've been on 3 missions so far.
I'm gonna size up his dragon a bit, because I only saw it when it was a little pup. So I want to see like what, like we know what the yellow dragons do now and everything. So
yeah, what
does his dragon look like?
So similar to Argent, very snake-like. The horns are adorned with feathers. and the eyes especially are very predatory. And as you kind of like gaze upon the dragon, Jerick says, "This is Rattore." And Rattore kind of looks at you, and like the face moves closer until it's like staring you in the eyes. It says, "Hello, little bird."
I see you raised it well, like father, like child.
We look forward to working with you.
As I'm noticing this, Ardor is like right behind, like 3 heads as big and as intimidating as possible. Just like, don't you talk to Ultra that way? Like, and probably sensing the like hesitation or reservation or maybe a little bit of intimidation. I'm not quite sure.
I feel like you would notice, like, I'm trying to hold myself up like that, but you probably can sense my heart rate. Yeah. Like, you know, when you're nervous and your heart's just pounding, but you're trying to be like, I'm cool. Nothing's going on, like, on the outside. So you sense that. And I'm trying to not have like a shaky breath while I'm talking to them. This is Ardor.
Nice to meet you.
And as you present yourself forward, Rattore like moves backwards with kind of a very serpentine like move, and you actually hear a rattling, like a clanking of metal, as you see Rattore's tail is much like a rattlesnake, twitching and shaking, and you notice that there are these like really barbaric balls of like spiked metal that flap around the tail that have been essentially attached. And Rattore says, "Looking forward to working with you too, giant, big, red thing."
Oh, I'm pissed now.
I would get big. Sorry, go ahead. Go.
No, you go.
Just at the sense you would probably notice, because I've probably like almost pushed myself up that like my wing or like part of me is like close to you, like physically close. And like my chest is getting bigger and my wings are starting, like a cat's tail kind of like puffs out. Like I'm puffing out and trying to make myself as big as possible.
And as you start to kind of like muscle up to each other a little bit, you know, kind of square up, you hear another voice who says, please let's not fight so soon."
Yes, there's no nonsense on this mission.
Harry has walked up at all that and
no nonsense.
Hand up at this guy that he's not paid attention to the name to. "Hi, I'm Perry."
Was that to Jerick's?
Yeah. And like big grin, like,
"How have you survived for so long being so small?"
"Ingenuity. Hi, I'm Perry. What's your name?"
"My name is Jerick's Kasorian."
"Good to meet you." Hand still up, waiting for him to grasp it.
It's rude to not.
"Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you didn't have that in your culture. It's okay."
And the girl like kind of skips forward a little bit and says, "Jerick's, please, we have to get along with them." Jerick's like looks at her, snorts, and then turns away. And the snake like Rattore kind of goes around with him, and like he unfurls as he moves, and they move away. And the girl kind of looks at all 4 of you, well, all 8 of you, and says, "I'm sorry about him. I'm Illyria Urine."
Hello, Illyria.
Nice to meet you, Illyria.
I'm part
Nice
of
to meet you.
Jerick's pod.
Ah, Has he not had breakfast? He's kind of acting like a cranky child.
He's difficult. Reliable in a fight, but difficult.
Is he always like that, even to you?
Yes.
I just stare. I'm looking over at Jerickson walking away, just kind of like.
But it's not that bad because Illyrium can hit him with her breath, and then he can't do much. And
Someone should teach him how to work as a team.
there's a big kind of like boosh, boosh, boosh as the three-headed sky blue hydrang steps forward and says, "Do not worry. I look after her. My name is Illyrium, and it is a pleasure to meet all 8 of you."
It's nice to meet you, Illyrium. I'm Cassandra Linden. and this
Hello,
is
Cassandra Linden.
Argent.
Hello, Argent.
And
Hello.
of course, Perry Quartz
Hello, Perry Quartz.
and Tourmaline.
Hello, Tourmaline.
And then Ultrabarn
Hello, Ultrabarn.
and Ardor.
Hello, Ardor.
And then Rithera Crix
Hello, Rithera Crix.
and Incinzia.
Hello, Incinzia.
And that's us.
Hello.
Hello. So you are to be joining us if we need support, I believe.
Yes, we will be nearby to be called on if needed. It is... We had to go through the same thing, even though Jerick's won't admit that we did.
Of course he won't. Well, I believe we will not need your assistance, but it's good to know you shall be nearby. Are you prepared and ready to go?
We are prepared and ready to go. Even if you do not need our assistance is here to be had.
Thank you, Illyrium.
You are most welcome, Cassandra Linton.
Then we shall be setting off now, and we will meet you at the... well, we shan't meet you, because we'll meet you later.
Yes, you shall head off, and we will follow you.
Good. Then let's go, shall we, Pod?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Good flight. I'm gonna say that to a sort of Illyrium. An Illyrium.
Thank you, Cassandra Linton. You also have a
Linden.
good flight.
Linden.
Linton, sorry.
No, it's Cassandra Linden. That's
My apologies.
It's all right.
We will all learn each other's name. And you can see like all just giggling a little bit, just
Cassandra's like seething a little. Let's go, shall we?
Do not concern yourselves. I am good with memory and names. I will remember your names once they are told to me. You have told them to me, and I shall remember them.
Good. Well, let us go. And I'm just gonna like turn. I'm like pretty mad now. I'm just gonna like spin around to walk up.
I don't like that Jerick.
Oh, he just
Yeah.
reminds me of like a 5-year-old.
Definitely think he's worth watching out for.
No, if you remember what I've told you about Cassorians.
Were they the culty one, or were you the culty one?
We are not a cult.
Everyone, I
They
think they're
are.
both
They
a bit-
came. No, what? Excuse me, Cassandra. You think I'm from a cult? That's.
Well, you are,
ridiculous.
right? I thought that's what you
No,
described.
I don't know what you're talking about. They are the cult.
One day we shall look through the descriptions of cults.
I'm not-
and we shall.
It's fine.
argue
Well, I'm
then.
not.
Ardor came with me. It's not a cult. Tell them, Ardor.
You told me not to lie. I It was a little weird.
What's weird? What's weird is Jerix is taking it out on me that I've decided to live a different life.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's not good of him. We weren't saying that.
Well, we are all
It's not
dragon
good of him.
riders, and he's.
I am
smug.
not from a cult. I came from a very loving place.
Seems like a nice cult.
They're very
You are-
lovely.
You all
Well,
think
we're
I'm from a
cult.
cult. Is that why people look at me this way when I walk around?
Oh, probably.
Well, and also the head swivel.
It's not a bad thing.
What
I
cult?
can add swivel too.
What cult?
Ultra, it's not that.
What cult?
different.
What cult are you from?
It's not a cult. I you can see Ultra's getting like visibly flustered. Just
Oh.
because
Are you from the same cult as Jerix? 'Cause
No,
he
no,
likes-
no, no,
he
no,
likes the
no, 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 no.
birds and the feathers as well.
Yes, I love the birds as well, but not like him.
No?
He has a very different philosophy than I do.
The
He clearly
god
lives a very
seems
different way.
Similar, and
But
the
we come from.
mannerisms.
Has he explained anything of his past to you?
Just that he used to roam with his tribe, and they used to raid and pillage and.
We do not raid and pillage. We come from the mountains, and we live a very docile life compared to them.
Oh.
It's a very nice place up there. We did go visit.
Cassandra, what is a cult? It's just a group of people. It's nothing bad, right?
Perhaps we should talk about this when we return from the mission, Ultra.
That's a good idea. We're getting distracted.
Yes, we are losing the daylight. Okay, let's go. And I'm just gonna.
And there's
Harry
like,
pats Ultra on the arm as he walks by.
She's shell shocked right now.
As you all walk off, you hear from behind you, Illyria, what is a cult? Well, it's people who have strange and bizarre religious and beliefs. Sometimes they worship strange things. I think they worship birds. That is nonsense. Clearly dragons are superior to birds. I don't understand it either.
Also hears this, yes?
Yeah.
I'm just
You're-
gonna.
you're from a
if we all
nonsense
hear
cult.
it, I am just gonna grab Ultra. And almost like put my
Drag
arms
her
around arm,
along.
like, come on,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are going.
Is this why people don't talk to me very?
Well, we're in a
Much.
different pod, Ultra.
I know, but I thought that but it seems like maybe it's not just the pod.
They don't talk to me much either.
Okay, I'm not from a cult. And then I just immediately start doing like belly breath. So you see just like deep breathing, walking with Cassandra, and just
And-
hearing what they were talking about behind me
Mm.
is, and then even remotely thinking I'm being compared or on the same level as a Kassorian
Yeah.
is
Not fun.
no. So getting my
Little
button gear,
disheartening.
a little bit like, oh, my whole life, what? So
My entire belief system. Oh no.
my belief system is crumbling. So it's
no.
just kind of in that thing of like they're just overreacting. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's because Jerix was here. They're confused about Jerix,
Yeah,
not me. I did
Yeah,
not.
And-
My people are good.
Just explain the
sens-
pain away.
explain it away.
And then
I'm s-
distract because we're going on a mission.
On an mission.
Anyway, this mission, guys, huh?
Yes.
Distractions.
So yeah, I'm gonna probably ask Rithera and Incensia to, and maybe Ultra and Ardor to, well, Incensia Rithera first because they're super fast.
Yeah.
And then Ultra and Ardor to have a full scope,
Okay.
and then Perry, Argent, myself, and Tourmaline will go in and do some sleuthing.
Sleuthin. All right.
If everyone's happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, you gather together, all take off as a pod. The only thing I really have to ask is, as you are flying, do any of you all stay together? I know that you've been together for a year plus now at this point, but I feel like there are instances where maybe Incinzia might feel a little bit like getting ahead and being like, I'm faster than everyone.
Yeah.
I feel like 100% Rithera and Incinzia are like, no. Like, even though Cassandra's leading, not putting it in quotations, but we know that like we're first. And so
Yeah.
I would be personally pushing Incinzia to go forward.
All right.
I think like with the stamina thing, we'll probably zoom ahead.
Yeah.
And then pause on a tree or something, and then when we see them again, we'll zoom on ahead again. It's like the puppy making sure that they're following, but
Yeah.
you
But
know,
also scouting, kind of.
yeah.
Or like a kid on a ski trip who goes like zooming off in front of everyone else and then stops. It's like, come on, you're slow.
Come on, you've been too slow, but also I need a rest.
Yeah. In that case, I would say that you would be the first to sight the village. It doesn't take too long to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming you're not landing. You're essentially going to go and scout around.
Yeah.
And kind of
Like-
form a perimeter of speed.
Speedy checkout.
Okay. For Ardor and for Ultra, what is your essentially? How are you going to situate yourselves?
We were asked to also kind of scout a bit.
Yeah.
So I would imagine we'd watch where Incinzia and Cassandra are heading and kind of go the other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm probably abnormally quiet while we're riding. And then not the right time, but I'd probably, since it's just Ardor and I right now, and Ardor did speak up, I would ask Ardor a question.
Yeah.
Do you really think I'm from a cult?
Well, you do worship an owl. And cult adjacent, maybe? Not quite that, but very close knit. And you were saying that it felt strange going back. And maybe it's because you weren't on the inside of it anymore.
It just felt strange because it was so formal and but I don't understand how I don't think being a cult or being cult adjacent makes it too different. It's still a cult.
Well,
we're nothing like what Jarek's comes from.
No, you're absolutely not. You have a wonderful, kind heart and you want good things. And we've talked about it. He's scary. Very scary. And only wants to hurt things.
He brings out the worst in me. Just immediately when I see him, it's like a switch in my brain where I just don't give him the openness that I was taught to.
Well, maybe he doesn't deserve it.
Where I come from, everybody deserves their peace. But
He's allowed to be the way that he is, but that doesn't mean that you have to always be kind or give him that. If it hurts you, then that's not okay.
I grew up learning about them and what they're about, and I come from those people, and they just are the worst kind of person. They're violent and savage, and it's just not who I am. But I thought that this is my first time in the world. I didn't know that people thought I came from a cult.
It's hard to see things when you're inside of them. Sometimes you have to take a step back.
we are better than them.
You don't go hurting and pillaging, and you're not a savage. And those are all very wonderful qualities.
From the stories that I grew up with, we know better.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to be afraid of me.
Oh, I'm definitely not afraid of you. You're my rider. We're together. I'm not afraid of you. I care about you. And we're our own unit now, which makes it different from where you came from.
How is this not a cult? All four of us. What's the difference between this and where I come from?
That's a good question. I don't actually know the answer to that. What is the difference? Are we in a cult? Wait, Ultra, are we? Did you go from one cult to another cult?
I have felt the routine of this has been nice, but I'm not from a cult. So maybe this isn't a cult. Maybe it's just people projecting their thoughts onto what a cult is. They don't fully understand. They don't get it.
So neither is a cult. We're not in a cult. Also, are we in a cult?
No, Jarix is in a cult.
Okay, so Jarix equals cult. Pod, no cult. You're not from a cult or cult
The Titan
adjacent.
clan is not a cult.
Okay.
Yes, we honor the owl and we worship them, but it doesn't make us a cult. And the stories that I grew up with, we are so much better than where I came from.
Not a cult.
Not a cult.
Not a cult. We are a family.
That's what I grew up with. We are family. Everybody's there for each other.
Yeah. Like, I'm there for you and you're there for me.
Yes, and you feel like a sigh of relief as almost like talking through this is helping, but also there's just that unease about other people thinking that I come from that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be compared to Jarix. That other dragon, I couldn't even remember his name because they thought I was like him.
Hey, just because you both have feathers doesn't make you like each other.
They don't even honor the true meaning of what a feather is. They take them in brutal ways.
Well, we'll just prove that they're wrong and there's a better way to do things.
Just like what I was taught.
Yeah.
Can I
Do you
tell if
see that-
Ardor's like upset or anything? Or like, is Ardor uncomfortable?
I don't think Ardor is uncomfortable. I think Ardor is just like trying to understand what a cult is, but like definitely felt like there was some weird energy going on, especially during the story. And the question of are we currently in a cult was kind of the like thing that just made Ardor go, this feels strange.
I think what the main thing you would be getting is like enthusiastic support, like trying to not really I wouldn't say necessarily like on the same wavelength of figuring things out. It's much more like, oh, it's fine, you're fine, don't worry about it. It's
very much trying to comfort and soothe and have the conversation of like trying to figure it out with you, but like a lot of soothing and questioning and comforting and discovering.
Which I think would result in me feeling more confident in what I come from
a little more
and
calm
reinforcing all these things that I know. Because I do know better.
Yes. And I will say as Perry, Cassandra, Tourmaline, and Argent land in the village, I just want to say very quickly that I never knew I needed a conversation between Argent and Tourmaline, the same way I never knew I needed Ultra and Ardor to have a conversation about cults. So thank you for both of those.
It's not a cult, sheep. You don't know what you're talking
I
about.
didn't say.
We're gonna discuss a cult later,
I didn't
Ultra.
say it was a cult. I said I didn't know that I needed that conversation.
Not a cult.
Not a cult. No.
Apparently, we're all in a cult. It's fine.
So, Cassandra. Sorry, it's Cassandra, Perry, Tourmaline,
Argent
and
Tom.
Argent. As you land in the village, it is completely silent. You may hear a few wing flaps in the distance, but it is bare of noise, of people, of anything. There are houses, there are embers of fires, just, like little fire pits and things like that. There's evidence of people having been working, some partially filled carts which have, rocks and ore in them and things like that.
Right. Well, we should try and establish a timeline.
Oh, trying just to see how recent someone was here. I mean, I see some coals that they don't usually last more than a few hours.
Yes. Yes. Then they can't have been gone for too long.
No.
Should we? They kind of flown away, so we should look for tracks.
Yes, this is where Sarah would be very handy. She was not scouting out somewhere. Perhaps when she's done scouting and she meets up with us, we can have her see if she can find tracks.
I was going to say, for the record, if you want to bring anyone in, Cassandra and Argent are very agile, so it's an easy takeoff and quick, move to and bring in, so it's very easy to do.
If Incensi and I are done kind of scouting the area, we would be coming on our way back.
Okay. So yeah, Incensia and Rithera land on the outskirts and track in. I would say probably at the same time, Ultra and Ardor would be in the area, so you would essentially be keeping an eye out on an opportune tree or top or something like that, just kind of. But as far as you can all tell, there seems to be no sign of anyone, as far as you can tell from the offset. What I will say is, Tourmaline, you get a strange sensation of things being off. It's like a coppery taste in the air.
Something is wrong.
What's wrong? What do you talk to me? What?
The air is off. Metallic.
How's metallic? Can you Tourmaline, could you maybe take whatever that taste is, if it's in the air, and see if you can get some of it and collect it and solidify it? We can see what we're working with. Is that possible? If there's particulates in the air, you probably could.
I will try.
Can I do that? And just try to out of character, is it a blood thing?
Don't
Okay,
think
'cause
so.
you said coppery, so I thought immediately like maybe
Yeah.
it was blood.
It's, what I would say is that it hard for you to say for sure. It feels a little bit like the sensation you get when you manifest your ability, but it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel the same. There's a similarity there.
Okay, so is that something where I can do what Perry asked, or is it just more of a feeling?
I would say in this instance, it's unlikely to be an actual something in the air.
Oh,
It's
okay.
much more of a strange, off-putting taste, or you know.
Harry would not know that yet without.
Yeah. I would try to like do what Perry asked and then realize as I'm trying to attempt what Perry wants me to do and go,
I do not think it's in the air. It's a feeling. The
Oh.
energy is off.
Magic, maybe?
Perhaps it seems spoiled.
Tainted,
Argent,
maybe?
Argent, can you sense anything with the, how we would normally manipulate?
Argent, could you roll me a power, please?
I can. Would it be related to enhancement? And the reason I'm thinking that is, well, I'll roll it first. I have an idea, but it doesn't. Yeah.
4 successes, very nice. Once Tourmaline has discussed the sensation, concentrating, and you're not really manifesting your power, but this is to do with the sensation of power. This whole area has a lingering taint to it that tastes like, the best way I can describe it is it leaves a taste in the air, like something is wrong, something is off, something is I don't want to say corrupted, but it's almost in that vein of corruption. And the other thing I'll say that you notice, basically off that, aside from all of you, you're not sure there's anything alive here.
On
Even like
our
insects.
flyby?
Yeah.
Did we notice anything moving?
No. Not even insects or like a buzz or anything. It is completely deathly silent.
Corruption? Tainted air? Bad. Doesn't feel right. I could maybe try to find the source?
If you, yes, I think we did say to teacher that is what we were going to do. And so we should do that.
If it is magic, I might be able to have it give a feeling of badness, enhance that so that you could all feel it, and we might be able to find where it's coming from.
Almost
If it
like
is indeed a dragon
tracking-
power.
Almost like tracking the feeling through?
Yes.
Okay.
This a stream of some kind, maybe.
Then,
The other dragons might be able to feel it better. They're more sensitive to this sort of thing. If I change it.
Then yes. You all ready for that? Shall we bring let's bring Ultra and Ardor in as well, and we
I will go
close
get them.
together? Okay.
And I take off to
And
go get them.
so we'll have to split up and try and find the stream, I suppose. And once you found a direction, regroup and we'll follow it, okay?
Okay.
So
That's the like little group that's there.
Yeah.
And obviously
yeah,
when Ultra arrives, I'll sort of reiterate it.
Right.
I would swim up and attempt to like flag them down and usher them down to the rest of the group.
Easy enough.
I imagine Ulcha and Ardor intentionally, but maybe unintentionally, been a little bit further away from everybody. Like probably just subconsciously, like, I'm over here, like away from everybody. But once we get ushered over, I mean, obviously we join the group.
Yeah. What I will say is Ardor, Argent, and Incinzia, you can all, to a lesser or to a more or lesser extent, you can sense this wrongness. But there's no real way to tell. If you want to kind of, try and figure out more, you can. What I will say is Tourmaline, as the first one that noticed it, and also for whatever reason, you have a better sense of direction and of so
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know if there
Oh,
was more
sorry,
to that
I-
Oh, you
sentence.
didn't finish your
off, sorry.
sentence. Yeah, you went direction and...
Yeah, I was like leaning in,
So,
like
yeah,
what else is coming?
Sheepy Braid is like, okay, put on overlays.
Okay.
So you have a better sense of direction and of let's say concentration. It's
Okay.
I think if any of you as dragons would like to try and locate this, it will be a resolve roll in this instance. Magically gifted, the tag does apply here, so you will have a 5 success gate for Tourmaline.
Okay.
If anyone else has any
Yeah, I'm just zipping back and forth. I want to
Yeah.
be the fastest.
do you,
I want to find it.
like
I'm
a-
going to be the leader.
like a bloodhound with the nose to the ground, just kind of like zipping
Yeah,
back, like up and, yeah.
Just seeing Cinzia like zip across to that
Yeah.
thing, go around the thing, and over the top and down. And
Argent
I
is
don't
going to
have-
try to enhance senses
Mm.
to try to make it easier to notice.
For all of the dragons or for a specific?
Probably Tourmaline, since she mentioned it first
Okay.
and has already noticed both Ardor and Incinzia doing their own thing and running about.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the patience that Cassandra's imparted on Argent is like, no, think about it, wait, look,
Go
see.
for the reliable one, yes.
And then Tourmaline doing very similar things, like gonna try to enhance Tourmaline's senses to make it easier to pinpoint.
Yeah. You probably see Tourmaline like super hyper focused on the sense that she has, and I imagine it's like a vibration in the ether, kind of, in that she's trying to pinpoint where that energy's coming from.
Yeah.
So just not saying anything, very focused on sensing what's around her and using more than her eyes to try to find it.
I'm assuming Cassandra will get involved with the enhancement.
yeah, I can't help necessarily find it, so obviously I'm wanting to surgically strike, I suppose.
In that instance, could we please have a power roll from Argent and a control roll from Cassandra as you manifest and concentrate on enhancing the senses? Oof. Very nice.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Yeah. Tourmaline, you feel not just your eyesight, your hearing, but also that almost like sixth sense feeling kind of not just accentuate, but also focus. Essentially, that feeling you have is pinpointed, and you are able to essentially, almost like a smell or like a colored line in the air, like follow it. And it's coming from one of the central huts in the village.
So
That
I don't
should
need to
help.
Okay. Do I need to roll anything? Sorry, I didn't mean to
No.
interrupt. Okay.
With the assistance of Argent and Cassandra, it pinpoints it so that a roll is not necessary.
But I do feel like the energy from Argent and Cassandra like helping
Oh,
me.
for sure.
Okay. So I imagine I'm scoping and then I just feel like I don't know. I know it's magic, so I feel like there's like a wave or something that kind of permeates my skin and it tingles, and then I can feel like hyper focus on what the energy is and where it's coming from.
Yeah.
There.
And I point my nose
Now,
like forward, my snout at the cabin.
in between a few other huts, there's a big kind of circular central domicile.
You found it?
Thanks to you and Cassandra's help, I think we found it.
Very good.
The main hut's right in the middle. There's something off about it.
We should be careful then.
Let's go.
Careful.
Zooming back.
And Cynthia, I do not think that's a good idea. Do you
It
not
is a
feel
good
it?
idea. We need to find the thing.
You should not.
Careful.
I can scout in and see and look behind me too at the same time.
Small
It
building.
is not something you can sneak up on. It is corruption of some kind. Careful.
I do not want anything bad to happen to either of you.
And Cynthia, can you make it hard for us to be detected or make it so that we're quiet?
I don't think anything is here that uses the regular senses.
No, I can't make you quiet. I can make me quiet.
Well, we'll try and be quiet.
She says, booming out across the,
Yeah.
across the village.
Can I, I want to fly above it, and is that, obviously in these old huts and stuff, there's usually, a smoke hatch.
Yeah.
I want to, and I feel like we would have noticed that flying over earlier.
Yeah.
Can I try and zoom in? Or, at
You
least
don't
try and,
wanna Clamber up
land
top
on
of
it. Yeah, land on it quietly and sort of tilt my head in to see what's inside.
Sure. You
What's inside?
essentially quick running leap and flap takes you up into the air. The strength of your legs just bolsters you up. The wings are more there to control, and then you kind of clatter softly onto the top of this kind of big large hut type thing, and clamber up to the top of it. And your head kind of are you looking in, or are you just peeking through the hole?
I'm looking in. My head's not in the hole, but I'm.
Okay.
If I don't see anything straight away, I'm gonna be
So,
further in.
looking through the hole, you see at the center of it a burnt out fire pit with a whole load of benches basically facing it in a kind of octagonal, hexagonal shape.
Mm-hmm.
On multiple, it goes back and back and back. This seems to be it maybe was some type of town
Central
hall
area,
or
right.
something like that. There's nothing there aside from the benches, aside from the fire pit, and a figure.
Like a person figure, or like a mannequin figure, or
Question: how much attention does Incensia pay to humans?
not enough for this question.
Yeah, a figure.
I figure. Okay.
Just
Well, I
sitting
mean,
there.
Rethera's with me.
This is true. So, would I be seeing anything as well?
If you look through as well, you'll see what looks like a young girl just sitting
Okay.
there on the bench.
Moving, breathing.
Not really close enough. From what you can tell, just looking, no movement.
I think I will, after we have the initial look. It's a peek, isn't it? And back off the
Okay.
roof.
And kind of scramble down and...
Yeah.
Mhm.
What I'll say at this point, as well, just for the visualization, when Incensia moves, think like a bat. It's got that kind of like, folded wings and scrambly, like using the claws and stuff. It's quite cool.
When we get back down, there's only a little girl.
Nothing else?
Only a little girl, a fire pit, and some benches. I couldn't really tell if she's moving, breathing, anything.
Did she look like anything? Were there any marks on her? Anything out of the ordinary?
Not that I could see.
I wonder if they are using some sort of magic and causing it.
There are plenty of dragon abilities that can affect the way you see things, but
Perhaps I should get closer.
Yes, we can get closer, but be careful. If that is a dragon ability, then perhaps there is a dragon about that we have not noticed.
So, I'm going to drop a little bit of extra knowledge in for two characters, because they are the only ones who'd know about this. For Cassandra and for Argent. In your readings, you have read into a little bit about magic and mages. They are different from dragon riders because they actually utilize spells and they enact change to the world. They are very volatile and very dangerous, and they are in general not accepted in all around the continent of Lys. They tend to be taught in secrecy, and they can be a little bit of an issue. It's part of the reason the dragon riders are needed, because sometimes one of them goes too far astray, these type of things.
yeah, it's probably why I hesitated with the word magic each time they've yeah.
And the way magic works is when you are a magic user and you are young, you have a very small amount of knowledge. So you are able to enact very basic spells and very simple spells. But your well of power is based upon your life force. The amount of life you have left is essentially how much power you can muster. So young mages tend to be extremely powerful and very dangerous. However, as you get older, you learn a lot more intricacy to magic. You learn a lot more to be smart about it and to be clever, to craft your own spells to do very specific things which require less power. But your life gets shortened as you get older. So your well of power is much decreased. Which means that older mages are much more shrewd, much more canny, and have a much intricate arsenal in terms of what they can do. So you'll see a younger mage throw a fireball. You'll see an older mage construct a web of string that will entangle you and restrict you.
So would I know, and would I don't know of what sort of the response of dragon riders would traditionally be, or what we are expected to do with a mage?
If a mage has broken the law, which is fairly simple, it's essentially don't do all the bad things. In general, in this instance, it would be the laws of the Frontier, the city of Frontier, which this village is attached to.
Okay.
If a mage has turned up and murdered all the villagers, then it would be to either apprehend, stop, or kill.
Okay.
The one other thing I will add that I think possibly only Cassandra might know, because I feel like she would delve a little bit deeper. There's one additional thing about mages.
Mm-hmm.
They can expend their life to open up a vast well of power. So one of the problems with mages is when they're under threat of death, they can expend their life to... essentially, they shorten their life, and they use that power to enact massive spells.
Yeah.
Kind of like if I'm going to die anyway, might as well Hail Mary kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you take 10 years off your life, it's still a child, so it's gonna still have plenty of time.
Which, again,
well,
tends to make the younger mages more dangerous, because they're very
Yeah.
blasé with their life.
shit. Okay.
So after that description, Argent would look over at Cassandra kind of quizzically, like,
Only one?
One
No-
person
No dragon, but
No.
only one and seemingly magic.
and corruption, or something wrong.
That could explain the sensation, is it's a different type of application.
Yeah.
Would
Okay.
can Cinzia and I place a feeling of calmness, or would that be something like with the breath of like hallucination of calm and
You could, if you were to wreath everyone in the mist, you could then project calming hallucinations and sounds and that type of thing. What I would say is, in this instance, it wouldn't require a power roll, because you could essentially keep it very light and very basic and just have it be. So there's a little haze around all of you, a bit like a mirage, or like heat on the ground type thing, and there's a small amount of, well, what would you like to manifest for everyone?
well, I would put that forward and say, like, if we approach, if we go in, we can, if you're saying that potentially spooking this child or could mean that all of, who knows, everyone seems to be gone. We could go in as calmly as possible and approach the situation instead of a battle.
Yes, I do think 8 of us stomping through the front door may be somewhat of a surprise at any level. So we do need to be careful and try and discuss and see what happened before we make any snap judgment. We don't know that she's a mage.
Well, it sounds like observation. And it's best to be prepared for worst case scenario here.
Yes. Right. So if you could just do calming, and I could speak to her.
Okay.
Okay.
And Cynthia, do we want to go back up and go from the top? And
Oh, you could chimney it.
chimney it and
Very
fill
nice.
in.
If that's what. Yes.
Would
Fill
that
the
not
room.
startle a mage if they are already on edge?
I don't know. Oops, I didn't press that button.
I don't know.
We
What's a
can.
mage?
We've been practicing with Ultra. We can make it as almost not noticeable as possible, and just a little bit of a light fog
That
I
would be
bet
wise.
I can do it without her
With-
noticing.
with calming thoughts and feelings.
Startling could prove dangerous.
That's my first thought. Like, you don't want to startle a frightened animal and a deer in the woods.
You said they were young, yes?
Yes.
That is the most dangerous kind of mage.
And Cincy and I can absolutely help with that.
We can
Help with the most calm.
absolutely do it. And
Absolutely.
I
Be
bet
careful.
without her noticing.
Okay. And we'll go up and
Okay.
chimney it down.
Yeah, that is cool.
And-
Except that I'm not very powerful.
because you're not going for anything too aggressive or powerful. This is more of a slight, it's hard to describe what is relaxing. I was gonna say it's like a back massage a little bit, it's just like kind of chill.
Or like a warm bubble bath.
Yeah. You essentially disseminate the mist down subtly, carefully. You don't notice any shift or change. There's been no movement from the small figure.
Okay.
But it looks to have gone fine.
Great, I'm gonna climb back down.
See? Said I could do it.
You did great, Nzinzia.
You were there.
That might be the first time that Cynthia has said something positive to
You were there.
Sarah.
Yeah.
You were there. I don't know if that's positive, but just a little nugget.
I feel
Cassandra.
like, yeah, Cassandra's really nervous about this, but she also doesn't want anyone else to be. She's the leader now, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was
And-
like, Cassandra's gonna want to go in there just purely because she's the leader.
I'm the leader now, and I should do the talking, but also I don't want them to die. So I'm gonna suggest everyone waits,
Prepared on the
including
outside.
Argent, because
Yeah.
I don't want Argent to get hurt. And oh my god, this is a terrible idea.
Andra,
So, yes, Argent.
should we have a contingency set up?
I mean, if she chooses to kill us all, I don't think there's a lot I can do with that.
No, but I could enhance you slightly so you can get out easier or defend yourself easier.
Oh yes.
What
Yes.
would you prefer?
Quick escape.
I can enhance your legs and strengthen them so that you may run and jump quicker.
Thank you. Yes. Okay.
And I'd like to do that.
Okay, please roll me a power. Cassandra, please roll me a control.
Control.
And enhancement tag,
Enhancement tag, 5 or plus, or 5 or above.
which is 3.
3. And for Cassandra, it's 1. So, you probably have a little bit of a twitchy leg or two. There's a lot of energy in there ready to
Little parry
explode.
impression.
But you do feel a lot more lighter in your steps, and like it's nothing to, you feel like you could have jumped the building if you wanted, kind of thing.
How is that?
It's effective. Oh, okay. So, another contingency. If I die horribly, well, then she's broken the law and resolve that.
I don't think that's a contingency.
Yeah.
I think that
we're-
is a consequence of you not escaping.
Well, do you have any suggestions?
What if
Uh,
we tried something before you go? Like, Ardor, were there any small animals or anything around that you saw?
I haven't seen any animals or bugs or anything in the village. We can go get one, but we have to go back a little while.
What if we shrunk down Ardor and Ardor goes in and sees what's inside of this hut before we or any of us go in?
Well, I think Ardor will still have to go inside. that
I can do that. I can
Super
see in front of me.
tiny.
Yeah.
Perhaps just talking and seeing. You don't have to walk into the hut directly. You could open the door and just talk.
All right,
Just
I
less
just
threatening that way.
Yes.
Do you think Cassandra's making it seem like if she talks to this mage that
I think
you're going to die?
Maybe fine. I don't know. It's just a child. Who's to say?
Children can be very powerful.
Yes, I know.
can easily slip in and out through any windows or chimneys and make sure that Cassandra is safe.
Okay,
We can be
Throwing it out
watching from
there.
up top as well, making sure that if we need to jump in, then Cincy and I will be ready on call.
And I'll be back here. I can
And like pulls out, loads up his wrist crossbow. Like,
just in case.
Thank you, Perry. Right, I will get to it. And I'm gonna sort of walk towards the door, and I'm gonna hesitate and like look around at everyone before I knock. And then start pulling the door open or pushing it, whichever it is. Hello?
So, you stick your head in?
Yes, I'm like peering around, trying to see where this child is because I didn't have a direction.
There's a figure hunched over. It's quite reasonably dark. There's no movement. From this distance, no
Hello?
response.
Are you okay there? Okay, I shall have to go in. And I'm gonna sort of start stepping forward. I'm like, hello, I just want to say hello. Are you okay?
As you get closer, you can hear a very light, faint, like mumbling.
Sorry, I can't quite hear you. I'm gonna keep moving forward, like trying to. I am at that point. I'm getting a little like impatient. I've said hello like 3 times.
Yeah.
This is just rude.
As you get closer, are you going around in front, like to look from the front, or are you kind of? 'Cause
Yeah, I
she's
want to.
shoulders to you, like back to you currently.
Yeah, I'll kind of loop around. I'm not gonna go all the way to her front, but like front side, I guess, so I can still see.
Okay. I will say, when you get close enough, the words form in what she's mumbling form into words, and you can see at the same time as you start to hear the words that her eyes are completely black, which I will tell you, you will know is not an aspect of mage.
Oh.
It's not something you'd expect from a mage. It's nothing you've heard of before. And
Just because I haven't heard of it.
she is essentially staring directly down and ahead at the fire. Has still not acknowledged you or reacted to you at all. And she is saying, I am the scar, I am the witness to the product of desolation and the consequence of agony. I am the scar, I am the witness to the product of desolation and the consequence of agony. Over and over again.
Oh, I'm gonna. Yeah, I am just gonna gradually get closer and closer, and she's obviously not acknowledging, but I'm gonna like turn around almost sort of at everyone. Oh. Are you okay, child? Yes, you are the scar, but what does that mean?
And we will end there for today. As Cassandra moves closer.
Yeah, I'm pretty close at that point.
She'll be fine.
Yeah.
You. I was like typing out what she was saying.
She was saying, I am the scar.
I am the scar.
I am the witness to the product of desolation and the consequence of agony.
Brilliant.
This is fine.
Seems good.
It's
Just
all
a,
good.
a normal Friday thing to
Just
do
getting
in a
this
hut.
child back, because it ain't urgent.
Yeah.
I mean, they're anywhere near my dragon.
So, there we go. Thank you.
Wow.
Let's end the sad music and go back to the. Woof.
Ooh.
You guys enjoy yourselves today?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All the things.
Ooh, I had fun today. Sorry, I was so I keep apologizing. I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
It
Good.
was fun to be a little bossy as Cassandra. And,
I love the waiting with bated breath to see if Perry would volunteer you as leader.
yeah,
Yeah.
she
I
was
saw
like,
that.
Come on
I-
now.
I
Suggest
almost-
me.
I almost asked if everyone would notice Cassandra like bouncing up and down, being like, me.
Oh yeah, Rithera totally noticed, but like I think Rithera in that moment was like, normally I would be leader and that is just exactly what I would do. We should let other people try.
Yeah.
But
Perry-
that's why I was like a mining village and then automatically like, oh Perry,
Perry's
you
just
don't
like, "Oh,
normally take the leader role. So why don't you try?
immediately rejected by Perry.
Perry's like, hell no, I don't want the responsibility. I just want to make
Absolutely
things.
not. I will help you. Tell me what you need.
Did anyone else's heart melt in the conversation between Argent and
Oh my
Tourmaline?
gosh, it was so sweet.
Like, I had to go to the toilet, and I was desperately trying to stay as long as I could so I could hear more.
It was so good.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
Oh.
Little chill friends with the.
I do
Rid-
feel like we have like characters that sort of relate to each other a little bit more and hang out a little bit more in some ways, but I
Yeah.
think that's really nice as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dragons
also really-
are bonding.
I know.
they're all friends.
I also really
sorry.
like the balance of what we have. Like there's a very diverse dynamic group going on, and I really is so cool.
And today was the first day where we really let rip with all the characters jumping back and forth, and I was very happy with how that went. I think it was really cool.
Yeah, sorry, I set Elle against herself for a minute there, and then I was working like making Argent and Perry work together, kind of, and I'm like, okay, I just get the nice easy job, right?
Well, don't worry, we'll get you back. It's fine.
I've got the
Yeah.
anti-social dragon who
Look,
just
I've just gone up
stalks
to a
the people.
freaking not mage.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of intrigue and what the hell's going on. I'm not going to ask you guys to take a guess as to what's going on, but yeah. Did Ultra enjoy meeting her nemesis again?
Yeah, I'm excited to see where that ends up going if anything does end up happening with that, but he's the worst, by the way.
His dragon's not much better, to be fair.
Like
No.
when the little girl, what was her name? I'm sorry, you said her last name is
Illyria.
Urine, but it's
Illyria.
It's,
Illyria and Illyrium.
yeah.
okay, Illyria and Illyrium.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
when
there's no
she
ego
said,
there when she named her dragon.
She's a child.
Yeah, she's maybe a little bit more immature. She wasn't particularly inventive, but her last name is Uren.
Urine.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, my brain heard urine and I felt bad. That was pretty but
It's probably my accent as well a little bit. Uren.
But when she said that he's like this to her, that just made Ultra kind of go, like, get a little protective about, he's just causing pain wherever he goes. And so it's everything I've been taught, he is proving true
Well,
about Cassorians.
I can tell you a tiny little secret out of character.
Yes.
She's got a sky blue dragon. So Illyrium just blasts them with some steam breath and they're super weak and like a helpless kitten. She's done it, they've done it a couple of times.
Yeah,
to the
but
rest of the
Ultra,
pod. Ultra
feels
doesn't
like-
know that.
Still
yeah, Ultra
mean.
wouldn't know that. But it's Jerix is doing something that is resulting in her and her dragon having to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's an inherent problem with Jerix.
Oh yeah, Jerix is an inherent problem basically. Like I think we
Don't
can all
look
agree
at
on that.
Insidia and Rithera too much in comparison to that. I mean,
Yeah.
we've just been bullying you and your
I know.
You've been doing it. No, I mean it's different though. Like Jarek's just he
the
seems
same
like
way-
he hates.
It's the same way,
Ultra.
like, Ultra's not in a cult, but...
Oh, yes,
um,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Ultra's
But
not in a
Jarek's
cult. I don't know what you guys are
Yeah,
talking
it's
about.
totally different.
Cult. Like
Uh,
you all keep saying that, but it's not. It's not a cult. I don't know.
Not a cult.
Plus,
Not
I
a
mean,
cult.
Illyria has Illyrium to look after her, and
Yes,
he's
yeah.
solid as
Yeah.
a rock. If a little something.
I'm just very.
Brained.
Yeah, I do. I forgot what the yellow dragon fully does, but I know they're pretty powerful, right?
Yeah, the yellow dragons can impose a rule on both themselves and their target, and
Which
yeah,
it also bums me out that his dragon's kind of an ass
Yeah.
as well.
yeah.
Not a very. Didn't get warm fuzzies.
Mm-mm.
Ritore is a product of his upbringing, much like the rest of the dragons are.
We're all kind of like. I mean, if you really break it down, Jarek's is a product of his upbringing, as is.
Yeah.
You know, just a little more culty than other people's upbringing.
Just a little bit more. Just a
Just a
tiny bit more
Just a
culty.
teensy bit.
He has his views and he thinks they're correct.
Ultra has her views and thinks they are correct as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because she does
Mm.
know better. Like she knows. She knows.
He knows best.
She knows best.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the cult talk as well. It was
You're in a cult. It's fine. We're not judging
cult
you for being in a
adjacent.
cult.
Cult. Cult
Cult
adjacent.
adjacent.
Oh my god.
But yeah, honestly, for a little experimental show where we were like, hey, let's play different characters and let's do a system that I make up myself. I'm really happy with, like, today's episode really showed off all the coolness of everything. Switching between characters was really cool. I don't think I dropped the ball too much. I think we pretty much kept up with the switching. And utilized, getting the tags and utilizing them and showing off how, you can use the powers. And my god, that silver on the blade that went through the trees
Disc,
was
yeah.
ridiculously
Oh, yeah.
nice.
What did I get? I got like 2 10s, 2 8s. Did I pass on the next thing as well?
And I hadn't even considered making it rain hot, like heating up the metal and making it rain like
How
molten
horrifying was
metal.
that?
Yeah.
It's such a cool idea. I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. And yeah,
So
that-
technically, could we throw a boulder in the air or somehow get a boulder up in the air and then turn it into lava pieces and have it rain lava on someone?
yeah. I mean, like, one thing you could do is, especially with a larger dragon or a strong enough kind of, okay, one thing you could do, for example, is you could get Perry to make a catapult or a trebuchet, sling a giant rock, and in transit turn it into molten lava, and essentially have a molten lava projectile like rain. Like, that's the type of. The only thing I think would be a problem would. How big do you want it to be? If it was too big, you probably wouldn't be able to carry it.
That makes sense.
I do like the
so-
metal thing though.
Yes. Very cool. There's a lot of possibility, and that's part of the point of the powers, is the ability to come up with, the powers are very vague but kind of fun, so you can come up with really cool ways to utilize them. And so
Yeah.
should we
Yeah.
hot potato it around?
Let's do it.
Let's start with Perry and Argent, and also Dan.
Hello, it is I, Harry and Argent. This is fun. I like that we now have dragons that we don't have to worry about, exploding from using their power.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Domestic Dad. I do lifestyle variety broadcasting. Today is more variety with Tiny Tina K. Pierce Plays.
Oh yeah.
And that's me. I do things. I'm gonna be in Amsterdam next week, which I know Cheapy will talk about schedule stuff when it's his turn. But yeah, I'll be at TwitchCon EU unexpectedly, but also not as of a week ago. So, right, that's me. Hot potato. I'm gonna throw it to Katie because we're streaming together after this.
Hello. I'm Katie Peters Plays. I stream on Twitch occasionally with Dan, and we're doing Tiny Tina's Wonderland today. I made a beautiful character, and Dan, of course, made Captain Bubblesschnoz. So if you want to come watch us with that, it's a lot of fun. You can catch me on Twitch at Katie Peters Plays, Twitter Play Katie Play. I have podcasts if you want to listen to my voice when you're grocery shopping, and also I do other things like tabletop. So that's me. I'm on a hot potato with Tash.
Oh, hi, I'm Tash. I played Cassandra and Incinzia today. Hopefully you've enjoyed those. It's quite nice playing so violently different characters. So I do a lot of variety content. I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14. I do my makeup on stream, and I have a Warhammer lore and painting show with Sheepy. As you can see, here is my Imperial Sentinel in the background. Ooh. That goes directly onto YouTube. So we recorded the other day, and I need to paint some time. This month is very busy, but it's good things that I'll be able to tell you later. And I'll hot potato to Ellie.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ellie Elbel here on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun things. I played Rithera, Crix, and Ardor for you today. I am a retro variety streamer. I do fun community stuff and lots of variety, but also we focus a lot on retro first playthroughs. And I'm trying to beat Castlevania. So for the very first time. And
The first one? Which one?
the first one, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
It looked
So
hard.
It's hard.
People forget
But very
how,
fun.
like, rough older games are. They have
Yeah.
these like nostalgic rose-tinted glasses, and I'm like, never ask me to play Crash Bandicoot again.
No, they can be a really good challenge. So, and I'm having a lot of fun with the challenge. So,
Yeah.
that's it. That's me. And on to Sheepy.
Hello, I am the Wandering Inn, and also I am Sheepdog. I am many things and none. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dragon Riders. Next week we are not having an episode because we are missing Dan, and we all decided when we started the show that if we're missing one person, we'll just not do the episode or try and figure something else out. But
Sorry, everyone.
It makes my life
it's all good.
easier. I'm not
It
gonna
makes
lie
my
to
life
you.
a little easier as
You're
well.
fine.
Like Friday was.
I'm
gonna
helpful.
Be painful.
I'm blaming Dan. I'm going to be
You could-
sitting on
yeah.
stream for 3 hours just giving the stink eye to the camera and just say I blamed him.
Yeah, I hope you
Okay.
do. Put
Yeah,
up
no.
put up the text like the hashtag blame domestic Dan.
This
like
is
you'd
Dan's fault.
This is Dan's fault.
Yes, all
And
damn
just say
fault.
nothing the entire stream.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just me seething.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
for 3 hours.
3 hours.
For 3 whole hours.
I'd be tempted to do a pickup of something with the rest of you three, but I don't know what I'd do. So
Don't ask
we,
me to
we
do
won't.
things. I
yeah,
wanna go
yeah,
to
we
sleep
won't.
on
We won't
Friday.
entertain that. But yes, next Monday is the finale of Drifting. Then there will be a gap of a week, and then we'll be back with Mage. And I think at this point, I'll do a tweet about this soon, but I think I'm at a point where I can probably announce the cast and also the name of the Mage show. I have embraced the nature of my channel, and I am outnumbered 4-1 by women now. All 4 of the cast members are ladies. I'm Kat. We have Syrinx. We have Tessichka, because Tessichka is a mainstay now, a staple of the Monday show. And we have OMG Vandy, who is coming back to feature.
Hey,
Oh,
Garrett.
brilliant people.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a great. That's a
That's so
fantastic cast.
exciting.
And the title of the show is going to be Somnambulist,
Somnambulist.
which means sleepwalker.
Ah.
I like this.
And
Gosh,
that will
sounds
be
good.
starting on the 25th of July. So, mark your calendars, save the date, do the things. Aside from that, you know how to support the show. I think we've all worked very hard today and deserve a short outro from me, and we could go off and do things. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. check out everyone below. If you look below the stream, if you look below the video, you can see their links. Go look, go give them love, go do the things. I'm going to keep this going as long as possible so everyone has to carry on
I'm so
dancing
hungry.
for as
We're
long as they
good.
can. I'm going to give you the outro for the show now, and we're going to go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye!